Wow. Lin Yuyu's words shocked the entire audience. The women looked at Lin Yuyu in disbelief. You must know that this is not killing zombies, but killing people. This is fundamentally different from zombies. As for Wang Kui and the others, their faces were all pale, with fear and despair in their eyes. Even Wang Kui felt chills in his heart. Has he ever done such a thing? He must have done it before, but it was the first time he had seen a woman with such a cruel heart, except for the woman from the power next door. Today was a failure. Wang Kui could see it clearly, but he didn't have much regret. He had tried his best and was ruthless and decisive enough, but the woman in front of him was cheating. What about the promised ordinary doomsday? Didn't you say you don't have superpowers? What's this? Just when many women were at a loss, Wang Ziwen came out dragging her injured leg, with the tang knife unsheathed in her hand, her face cold, and her eyes without any waves, as if what she was going to do next was not to kill people, but to kill zombies. Really, in Wang Ziwen's heart, there was no difference between the thugs in front of her and the zombies. She could see clearly that she was betrayed by the partner she saved with her own hands. At that time, she had clearly seen the humanity in the apocalypse. Are these thugs in front of me worthy of pity? No, judging from their previous actions, we knew that they must have killed many people. If Lin Yu hadn't been here today, what would have been the fate of her and those women? Either they will all be killed by bullets, or they will be caught by these men, imprisoned and become a plaything after dinner, and their future life will only be endless misery. These thugs all deserve to die. When Wang Ziwen walked out of the crowd, Lin Yu glanced sideways. She knew the foundation of this woman. Lin Fan had told her that she was indeed a talent who could step forward so decisively. Unlike those women who had no chance of doing so. React to. In the crowd, Lu Yuer had recovered from the shock just now. Looking at Wang Ziwen's movements and the light in Lin Yu's eyes, Lu Yuer wanted to raise her hand and slap herself. What a good opportunity to express herself. Even if she stood up right away, she wouldn't attract too much attention. The pearls were in front, and the rest of the light was dim. It was like a competition. Only the winner could attract everyone's attention, and the second and third place were all foils. No. I don't want to die. The thug standing in the center of the field has regained his ability to move. Looking at Wang Ziwen walking step by step with the Tang Dao in front of him, he shouted in horror and limped back. Wang Ziwen's eyes turned cold and he held the Tang Dao. Approaching quickly, the injury on her leg has already scarred. As long as it is not a high-intensity exercise, it is not a problem at all. No. Buzz. The graceful figure accelerated. The Tang Dao was held in front of her, the sword flashed, a splash of blood splashed. Wang Ziwen's left leg was on the bottom, the figure spun, the Tang Dao reversed and pierced into the vest, and then quickly drew the knife and retreated. Baizu Wang Ziwen understands the reason why a dead insect does not freeze. She does not want to be hurt by someone who is destined to die. Do it perfectly. Poof. The blood fountain splashed out under the high pressure, 2 vital parts were severely injured, and the thugs had already he couldn't die anymore. Bang. The corpse fell to the ground, splashing some dust, and the muffled sound was like a giant hammer hitting the hearts of the thugs and women. With everyone's eyes watching, Wang Ziwen dragged her injured leg. He walked back step by step. His actions seemed to have caused the wound to open a little. Mistress, the enemy has been eliminated, and Wang Ziwen is lucky to have lived up to her command. Lin Yu admired in her heart. Wang Ziwen's performance was amazing. If nothing else, with her appearance, she might be a member of the core team in the future. You did a good job, Yan Yan, healing her. Yes, Sister Yu. Zhao Yanyan responded sweetly, stepped forward, took Wang Ziwen's hand, and helped her to the side. Lin Fan told her about Zhao Yanyan's ability last night. Lin Yu probably knew about her ability. The convenience is very broad, including killing enemies, controlling, promoting birth, and healing. Zhao Yanyan can't even deal with a small leg injury. Roll up Wang Ziwen's trouser leg, revealing a small section of white and tender crotch, which is warm and moist. A scar on the jade-like crotch ruined the beauty of the entire crotch. At this time, the scar had collapsed and was bleeding. Zhao Yanyan raised her palm, and the gleaming green light exuded vitality. Under Zhao Yanyan's control, the light covered the wound. Under the repair of plant energy,
the wound recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye until it was completely healed.
Withdrawing her hand, Zhao Yanyan looked at her masterpiece with satisfaction, feeling indescribable excitement in her heart. This was what Lin Fan had given her, her divine power. Okay. You can stand up. Wang Ziwen looked at her little girl in surprise. All the previous injuries were healed without even leaving any scars. Her skin was as crystal clear as jade. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she wouldn't have believed it was true. Not only Wang Ziwen, many female warriors were also looking here. A miraculous scene appeared in front of them. These female warriors were stunned when they saw it. This is divine power. A miracle that is beyond comprehension and cannot be explained by science. Lin Yuyu was also watching this scene. Seeing that Wang Ziwen was recovering from her injuries, she said calmly, "From today on, you will join Wanqing's team, so please leave." Wang Ziwen came to her senses, stood up quickly, and said respectfully, "Thank you, mistress, for the reward." Wang Ziwen knew in her heart that if Lin Yuyu hadn't spoken, her injury would never have healed so quickly, and failure to recover from the injury would have seriously affected her subsequent development, which would be very detrimental to her. Lin Yuyu's words are nothing less than a gift of renewal to her. Next. With that said, another thug flew out. This time without waiting for the other women to react, Lu Yuer quickly stood up and got ahead of everyone. Second place is second place, even if it's not first place, it's still second place. Can get one pay attention, but next time she'll have to be first. Lu Yuer reacted so quickly, which shocked the other female warriors. At this moment, the women had already reacted, cursing angrily in their hearts. They were not stupid. This was obviously a good opportunity to show their faces. It's a pity that it was snatched away. As for whether it would be dangerous to kill those thugs, the women don't take it seriously. They have tang knives in their hands, but the opponent is still lame. If they can't beat him, then they are too useless. Without even giving the thug a chance to speak, Lu Yuer clenched the tang dao in his hand and rushed forward quickly. The tang dao faced his bare hands without any suspense. He stabbed the knife cleanly into the heart and quickly retreated. At this time, the thug had just reacted from the panic, and it was already too late to say anything. After doing all this, Lu Yuer came back with expectations, but to her disappointment, Lin Yuyu just glanced at her lightly. Next. After saying these 3 words, another thug flew out, but the female warriors cheered and all the women took a step forward. The thug who flew out was so frightened that his face turned blue. Seeing this scene, Lin Yuyu simply said, "Let's go together." After speaking, he released the thug's restrictions and regained control of his body. Wang Kui looked at a group of sluggish women. A ruthless look flashed in his eyes, and shouted sternly, "Don't rush me to death. Killing everyone is not a loss. Kill 2 and earn money, everybody follow me." Wang Kui's words instantly inspired the fighting spirit of the thugs. They would all die anyway, so they all fought hard. "You stinky cousins, I'm going to kill you. Kill them. If you don't let me live, you won't have a good life either. Fight with them." Hundreds of thugs with red eyes, howling and screaming rushed towards the women. Hundreds of crazy thugs charged together. Even without weapons, the momentum scared the women's faces. When Wang Ziwen saw this, the tang sword that had just been sheathed was unsheathed again and rushed out without hesitation. Lu Yuer cursed in her heart and pushed her 2 sisters, who also rushed forward. After being pushed back to their senses, Qin Shiyue and the 2 they rushed out in a hurry. At this time, the female warriors all came to their senses. They gritted their teeth and rushed forward with the knife in hand. The light of the knife flashed, and Wang Ziwen was like a strong female leopard, flexible and ruthless. Every time the tang knife in his hand was swung, it would definitely kill a thug. Lu Yuer's performance was remarkable, but his movements were not slow at all, and then there were the 2 Qin Shiyue and Han Jingyi who had just seen blood. As for the rest, the women behaved in an ordinary way, and some even had trembling hands and fear, and then were kicked down by the crazy thugs. Lin Yuyu always grabbed such women and threw them aside. Deprive female warriors of their privileges and return them to slavery. With a simple sentence, the captured female warriors' faces instantly turned pale, with despair in their eyes. They rolled over and wanted to pounce on them to beg, but were stopped by Li Fengzhao and others with frowns. For these women, no one would sympathy. The opportunity has been given to you, but you can't seize it. The capable will go up and the weak will go down. This is the rule in the apocalypse. The women are killing like crazy, each one has blind eyes, and their faces are covered with the blood of unknown thugs. Some of them even had injuries on their bodies. Even with the Tang Dao as a weapon, the men's fists and kicks were not ordinary. The crazy women were extremely ruthless, stabbing one after another, as if they had some sworn relationship with the violent men in front of them. Vengeance. The number of thugs decreased rapidly. Soon, the thugs were afraid. They woke up from the madness and saw that there was almost no reduction in numbers. The female warriors who had been recruited all collapsed on the ground in fear and rolled and crawled back. I don't know when Wang Kui died. Maybe he was killed by Wang Ziwen or Lu Yuer, or he was killed by an unknown woman who took advantage of the chaos. The road to becoming a hero was over before it even started. The scene was over. The 3 thugs left in the scene were surrounded by corpses of thugs. Hundreds of thugs were dead. It can be said that corpses were everywhere and rivers of blood flowed. Stop it. Lin Yuyu's words made the women in the field wake up instantly. Looking at the 3 remaining thugs, no woman dared to take a step forward. Here, Lin Yuyu's words are absolute. Magnetic field power. As soon as they were closed and released, 3 thugs appeared in front of them. Where is your base? Facing Lin Yuyu's inquiry, a surge of hope sprouted on the faces of the 3 thugs.
If we tell you, will you let us go? I told you that euthanasia is possible, but if you don't tell me, you will die miserably.
The 3 thugs turned pale. They had no intention of giving them a way to survive. No matter what, you are dead, and you still want to know the news from us. You are dreaming. Pooh, don't even think about it. Be bold. Seeing that the thugs dared to be disrespectful to Lin Yuyu, the mistress, Shu Yan angrily scolded and kicked him fiercely. The thug who spoke was kicked 10 meters away. His muscles and bones were shattered in midair, and he rolled several times on the ground. Killed on the spot. Looking at the blood foam at his feet, Lin Yuyu's eyes turned cold. Yan Yan. Zhao Yan Yan understood, and stepped forward with a smile. She was naturally charming, with long and narrow eyebrows, and her every move was seductive. But the only 2 men now couldn't care less about it at this time. They had a bad feeling in their hearts. Looking at Zhao Yan Yan with a sweet smile, they always felt that a disaster was coming.
Although Zhao Yanyan smiled sweetly now, the murderous intention in her heart was already boiling. These thugs dared to insult Lin Yuyu. This is simply unforgivable.
Before the end of the world, I was a botany teacher. I have been fond of flowers and plants since I was a child. I also have a lot of experience in how to plant them. However, no matter how good the soil is, its nutrients are limited. Until I discovered something that is more nutritious than the soil. The higher it is, the more beautiful the flowers will be. Mrs. Wang in The Legend of Dragons and the Love Flower in The Legend of the Condor Heroes all use humans as fertilizer. I would also like to try it on you to see how beautiful these flowers grown by humans are. Zhao Yanyan's smile was sweet, but what she said was extremely terrifying, which made the 2 thugs tremble with fear. Thinking about the flowers and plants growing on their bodies, the scene simply made them shudder. Explain. We all say it, too late. Zhao Yanyan narrowed her eyes slightly, and green light flashed in her hand. A few green lights fell on the 2 thugs, and then quickly disappeared into the body. Seeing this scene, Zhao Yanyan smiled brightly. First the seeds are planted, then they grow, and then they in full bloom. How long can you hold on? Before he finished speaking, the 2 thugs were struggling and wailing crazily on the ground. They kept scratching their bodies with their hands. They looked like they wanted to scratch their flesh off. Many female warriors were frightened when they saw the 2 thugs rolling on the ground. Swallowed, even Li Fengzhao and the others felt uncomfortable all over, and subconsciously scratched their arms. Puff! Emerald green buds grew out. The 2 thugs were hoarse and still screamed. Flowers. The process of growing up was heartbreaking and itchy to the bone. They wanted to die, but that was simply impossible. The strips of paper grew, trapping the 2 thugs on the ground like strips of cocoons, making it difficult for them to even move. They can only scream in despair. They just want to die now. They have had enough. They don't want to live for a second. It is too painful. The most cruel punishment in the world is not as good as this. They just want to die. only death is relief. Just when the two thugs were about to collapse, Zhao Yanyan raised her hand slightly, and the growing flowers stopped. The pain was temporarily relieved, and the miserable howls of the two thugs finally weakened. Kill me. Kill me. I want to die. Kill me now. I said. Our base is at Zhenlong Hotel, 8 kilometers away. Hurry. Let me die. Let me die. The two thugs were already a little delirious, shouting wildly, and the location of the base was already revealed. Zhao Yanyan snorted coldly. Wasn't it a good idea to do this earlier? As he said that, Zhao Yanyan turned to look at Lin Yuyu with a questioning look in her eyes, obviously asking Lin Yuyu for instructions on how to deal with these two people. Don't kill them for now, just leave them like this. Wanqing, if you are inconvenienced, just stay at home. Feng Zhao, please follow me to Zhenlong Hotel, if the information is wrong. Speaking of this, Lin Yuyu said with evil eyes. Let these two people know what the consequences of cheating will be. The two weak thugs were frightened. Fortunately, they did not lie just now, otherwise they might be afraid of what will happen next. It's even hard to die. Thinking of the pain that was worse than death just now, the two of them shivered.
That red pain, they really never want to try again.
Zhao Wanqing had no objections to Lin Yuyu's arrangement. It was really inconvenient for her to move now, and she felt tired when walking. She felt comfortable last night, but feels uncomfortable today, so she can only stay at home. With Zhao Wanqing at home, Lin Yuyu felt relieved. She took Li Fengzhao and others with her, leaving only 10 female soldiers to guard at home, while the remaining more than 100 people rushed to the Zhenlong Hotel in the north. This time I went there, firstly to check the authenticity and copy the opponent's stronghold, and secondly to train troops. Now that these female warriors have seen blood, it's time to change their targets to zombies. This trip is enough to train these new female warriors into qualified warriors. Zhao Yanyan, Li Siki, you lead the team to kill zombies, I will wait for you in front. Lin Yuyu led the team before rushing out very far when they were blocked by zombies. Lin Yuyu did not escort the girls, but flew directly to the front, leaving the battlefield to Zhao Yanyan and the others. If Lin Yuyu did not leave, the magnetic field would control when the superpower is turned on. It's just random killing. Zhao Yanyan and the others don't get any training. They might as well go to the front and cut off the endless stream of zombies. Without Lin Yuyu, Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki have completely let go. They don't know how to organize their troops. But Li Fengzhao and the others have gained considerable experience under Li Wanqing's training. In an instant, more than 100 people arranged their formations in an orderly manner and moved forward like a meat grinder. The initial level of the superpowers is LV1. If you want the superpowers to become stronger, just Zhao Yanyan and the others knew that they needed to use supernatural powers to kill zombies. Looking at the zombies rushing towards them, Zhao Yanyan's eyes were filled with excitement. The energy of the plants in her hands spread, and vines several meters long sprouted from the ground. Get up. These vines are as hard as steel, with barbs hanging on them. They look extremely ferocious. The roots and vines are swung like several hacksaws. The zombies are cut in half. The places where they were cut are gleaming with emerald green light. It moves and sprouts grow quickly. Soon the zombie corpse seems to have been drained of nutrients and turns into a skinny mummy. Compared with Zhao Yanyan, Li Siki, the girl next door, is much braver. She steps on the earth. The source of earth-type supernatural energy is endless, and the defense power is skyrocketing. A layer of earth yellow armor is worn on the body, and the defense power is amazing. The Tang Dao in his hand is attached with earth-type supernatural powers. The whole person rushes to the group of corpses like an armored car. Inside, the Tang Dao with earth-type powers was as heavy as a mountain, and the earth-yellow armor on his body was equipped with steel spikes. No matter where Li Siki rushed, the zombies were knocked away or split in half. Even if those zombies caught Li Siki and opened their ferocious giant beaks to bite them, the armor with terrifying defense could break the teeth of the zombies. Wang Ziwen and others who worked hard to kill the zombies looked at Zhao Yanyan with envy, and Li Siki, who was rushing to kill among the zombies, coming and going freely, as if they were in a deserted land. At this time, they really hoped that it was them who had divine power. In front of Zhao Yanyan, who had divine power, these zombies were just like ants. They could kill them casually. Trampled a large area to death. Look at Lin Yuyu standing in front of you. A lonely figure standing there, isolated from the world. Within a few hundred meters, not even a single zombie can cross the thunder pool. This kind of power has been called it's amazing. More than 100 people are killing zombies together, plus Lin Yu and the three of them. What is the concept? Lin Fan doesn't know and has never seen it, but he knows it now. He is visiting a shopping mall. Lin Fan, who didn't know that a wave of foreign forces had been wiped out in his family, was already confused. He was looking for the things listed on the list, and suddenly a notification sound came out, which shocked him. At first he thought it was normal, but the increase in points was so crazy. 1 second it was more than 1,000, the next second it jumped to 2,000, then 2,005, then 3,000. What kind of speed is this? Even if Lin Fan he had been prepared for a long time, but the points were rising at an astonishing speed. Then the experience points of the three major powers were rising. After turning off the system prompts, Lin Fan shook his head and continued to leisurely shop for goods. That's the best thing about it, you don't have to worry about points. Your points will go up just by sitting there, you don't have to earn experience for your own powers. Women are definitely more proactive and enthusiastic than him. Wang Kui did not take everyone away from Zhenlong Hotel. He only took away most of them, and left more than 100 people to guard Zhenlong Hotel. Wang Kui also had enemies, but there was a company in the next street. A force that he was afraid of. If everyone came out, Wang Kui was sure that the woman on the next street would find out and raid his hometown. But he never expected that once he came out, he would never be able to go back. All the men and his subordinates died outside. At this time, the people left behind in Zhenlong Hotel did not know the news that Wang Kui and others had been wiped out. They were still playing with themselves. Some were torturing women, some were playing cards, and some were standing guard, monitoring the people next door. A force composed entirely of women. Next door, the dark fragrance bar. Behind the glass covered by the curtains, a woman looked at the Zhenlong Hotel through the gap. The woman was wearing a black leather coat with 2 daggers on her crotch. Her hot figure was fully exposed. Just looking at her back, she was a stunning beauty. There is also an anti-material sniper rifle beside the woman, which can fight against Wang Kui's forces next door. Without this anti-material sniper rifle, she would have been hung up and beaten long ago. Jasmine, how's it going? The room was very dark. There was a young woman leaning on the sofa. She had a graceful figure and a lazy tone. Her beauty was wrapped in black stockings. She held a glass of red wine as bright as blood in her hand. She gently kissed her hand. Shaking, the wine rippled, and it was extremely intoxicating. Jasmine turned around, revealing a moving face, with majestic brows and eyes, a solemn expression, and a kind of aura that would not be outdone by women. Sister Yan, Wang Kui and the others haven't come back yet. I don't know what they are doing. They have been out for more than 2 hours. Zhou Shuyan, the proprietress of the dark fragrance bar, has no identity or background. She came to Shanghai 10 years ago with only a few $100s, but with her extraordinary skills, she built the dark fragrance bar. Before the apocalypse, Wang Kui tried to get involved many times, but was blocked by Zhou Shuyan. After the apocalypse, conflicts broke out repeatedly. Both parties wanted to destroy the other party, but they were surrounded by wolves. Even if Zhou Shuyan was thinking extraordinary people can only live in this corner of the world. Zhou Shuyan frowned slightly, and she was very upset. Her dark fragrance bar was a piece of cake, and all the surrounding forces wanted to come and get a piece of the pie. It could be said that there was a ring of wolves. Wait, if she makes the slightest mistake, hundreds of sisters under her will fall into the abyss. She drank all the water in the cup. The slender gooseneck was elegant and moving, and her manners were indescribably noble. Put down the goblet, Zhou Shuyan. After thinking about it for a long time, he suddenly spoke. Jasmine, do you dare to challenge your sister? One thought of heaven, the other thought of hell. Zhou Shuyan didn't know what Wang Kui was going to do this time, whether he was trying to trick her into taking the bait. She couldn't wait any longer. This opportunity cannot be missed. Time will never come again. Zhou Shuyan can't wait any longer. The Zui Shengmeng Death nightclub was swept by some unknown force, which relieved some of her pressure. Wang Kui took someone out for a long time and did not return. This is an opportunity. Best opportunity. If she didn't take this opportunity to raid Wang Kui's hometown, she might never have the means to break the situation. Even if it was a trap this time, she had to step into it, otherwise, she and the women under her might starve to death. Lu Jinbao in the east, Wang Kui in the south, the Zhao brothers in the north, and Lu Jikan in the west. The four major forces were like four mountains, trapping her in this narrow street and unable to move at all. How many places to eat on one street? After more than a month, hundreds of women almost finished the food. Although Lu Jinbao in the east was destroyed by unknown forces, this does not mean that there is no danger. The other party quietly killed Lu Jinbao, killing everyone from top to bottom, which meant that the other party was absolutely capable of destroying Anxiang. Zhou Shuyan did not want to sit still and wait for death, she had to take action. At least Wang Kui couldn't threaten her, and there was enough food to give her a chance to breathe. Otherwise, when the last food in the bar was eaten, she would completely lose her ability to fight. Hearing the determination in Zhou Shuyan's tone, Jasmine was slightly startled, and a firm look flashed in her beautiful eyes. Sister Yan, you saved Jasmine's life. If it weren't for you, Jasmine would probably have died long ago. So what if you try hard? Just think of it as a break with Ahai. Jasmine was originally an ordinary girl, but she was locked up on a dead end. Her parents were brutally murdered by Wang Kui's men. The one who did it was Ahai. If she hadn't been rescued by Zhou Shuyan in the desperate situation, Jasmine might have died long ago. For in order to take revenge, Jasmine trained herself crazily and became a killer. Jasmine was extremely talented and seemed to be born to be a killer. In just 3 or 4 years, she became a top killer. Jasmine is accomplished in her studies. She wanted to kill Wang Kui to avenge her parents, but unfortunately the defense around Wang Kui was too good, and there was a top-notch killer like Ahai. She had no chance to kill Wang Kui, and her many attempts failed. Ahai is too strong, but there are too many killers around Wang Kui. Several of them are against her. No matter how talented she is, it has no effect. She still seems to be helpless and is in danger many times. I thought that when the end is coming, her chance will be more, but she didn't expect that Wang Kui's power would become stronger. Let alone revenge, she and Zhou Shuyan were treated as trapped animals, with no chance of revenge. Now Zhou Shuyan wants to fight to the death, and she has no reason to back down. Success or failure depends on this. The two of them made a decision and quickly came downstairs without staying in the room for long. Jasmine notified everyone, and soon hundreds of women gathered in the bar hall. Among these women were a large part of them are the waiters and waitresses in the bar, and some are the survivors rescued by Zhou Shuyan. In the apocalypse, Zhou Shuyan saw the terror of men, and her approach was similar to Lin Fan. The men either ignored them or killed them all, brought back all the remaining women. The women quickly gathered together. Zhou Shuyan's idea is that women should be self-reliant even if they don't rely on men. Basically, all the women in the dark fragrance bar are not weak, and they all hold knives. The courage of women who have killed zombies is not bad at all. Zhou Shuyan's reputation is very high, even though she knew that the result of this all-out attack was likely to be the annihilation of the entire army. None of the women flinched. Dark fragrance bar, all women know the predicament they encounter, and they also know what the consequences will be if they fall into the hands of those men. No woman wants to be like that. If they had not met Zhou Shuyan, maybe they would have succumbed, but after long-term hearing it can be seen that in the atmosphere of the dark-scented bar, all the women are united. Those who are close to the red are red and those who are close to the ink are black. This is the truth. With one call and 100 responses, all the women are ready to burn the boat, and Zhou Shuyan is no longer there, he said, nodding to Jasmine next to him. Jasmine understood, put the sniper rifle behind her back, and then took out the pistol from her waist.
Everyone, grab your weapons and follow me. Zhou Shuyan took out her pistol and walked out of the bar first. Some women took guns and some took knives, following closely behind. It can be seen that these women's equipment is very poor. They don't even have a long gun. There are only a few dozen pistols, which is incomparable with
Wang Kui's side. The reason why Zhou Shuyan was able to survive in the cracks is because both Wang Kui and Lu Jinbao wanted to directly annex Zhou Shuyan's power. Women in it is also of great value in the doomsday. Whether it is given as a gift or as a reward to his subordinates, it is a good choice. If not, Wang Kui or Lu Jinbao would have chosen to capture the dark fragrance bar. Walking out of the bar, On the street it was desolate, with blood everywhere but not many corpses, not even zombies. It was not originally like this, the streets were full of zombies, but under the leadership of Zhou Shuyan, all the zombies were cleaned up, and even seal both sides of the street with obstacles. This can effectively prevent zombies from flooding here. There are endless zombies to kill. Zhou Shuyan understands this very well. At the same time, this also avoids many unnecessary dangers. Under the leadership of Zhou Shuyan, hundreds of women armed with knives and pistols quickly left the bar, went straight to a sewer pipe, removed the cover of the sewer pipe. Zhou Shuyan took the lead and jumped in. This is what Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine discovered. There is a secret passage that can lead directly to the back of Zhenlong Hotel. This passage has not been used since the day it was discovered. In order to be secretive enough and achieve the goal of killing with one strike. Now, Zhou Shuyan has made up her mind to succeed or fail. Here we do it. Behind the Zhenlong Hotel, a sewer pipe was pushed open, and Zhou Shuyan came out immediately, followed by Jasmine. Since there were buildings blocking the area, there were no zombies here. Jasmine walked a few steps quickly and took out a special glass knife was used to cut a hole in the window. After opening the window from the inside, a group of people quickly climbed through the window and entered. Several hundred people sneaked into the Zhenlong Hotel quietly. Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine separated, each carrying the team members rushed to different floors. At this time, the thugs staying in the Zhenlong Hotel did not know that hundreds of murderous women had quietly walked in downstairs. There was no one below the 6th floor of the Zhenlong Hotel. Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine led the people to the 6th floor effortlessly, and stood in the stairwell. Before they walked out, Jasmine heard the sound in the corridor, and took a quick look, and had a panoramic view of the situation in the corridor. Jasmine put away the pistol, and then a dagger appeared in her hand.
The figure quickly flashed out of the stairwell, and the two men were talking face to face, with obscene laughter coming from time to time. Jasmine moved quickly, and with the help of her strength, with the grasp of his sight, he nimbly came up behind a man and quickly swiped the dagger in his hand. At this moment, the man who noticed Jasmine's figure was too late to speak again. There was a
ho-ho sound in his mouth, and his neck was scratched. Unable to make any decent sound, Jasmine pulled at the two men who were about to fall and were unable to fall to the ground. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Jasmine took out a pistol and pointed it at the few men on the roof. The camera clicked several shots in succession. With the help of the silencer, the sound of the gunfire was very small, destroying the camera. Jasmine breathed a sigh of relief, lowered the two bodies to the ground, and then waved to the stairs, and soon a group of the women rushed out. The women quickly came to the door of each room, and then knocked on the door together. Following the questions coming from inside, the women pretended to be wild and said something, and soon the door was opened. The thugs, who thought it would be a friendly exercise, opened the door with smiles on their faces, but what they greeted were sharp steel knives. Not all rooms were occupied, and not all the rooms were men. After quickly taking the 6th floor, Jasmine left a few women to guard the 6th floor while she led the rest of the people to rush to higher floors. The situation on Zhou Shuyan's side was similar. The two had been planning for a long time and the plan was progressing smoothly. However, no matter how careful the plan was, there would be mistakes. After clearing 11 floors in a row, something went wrong on the 18th floor. As soon as she climbed onto the 18th floor and before she even walked out of the stairwell, Jasmine felt a sense of crisis coming over her. This crisis was extremely strong. Jasmine's heart contracted violently, and her figure instantly rolled to the side. Get out of the way. Jasmine's warning was already very fast, but the women's reaction was a beat slower. At this slow moment, dense bullets were fired from outside the stairwell, exploding on the women standing at the front. Dense blood sprayed, and the woman behind screamed and backed away. On the 17th floor, hearing the gunshots upstairs, Zhou Shuyan realized that something was wrong. Soon, the doors of many guest rooms on the 17th floor opened, and 7 or 8 men with guns opened. There was a burst of shooting at the door, and several women standing at the door were shot and killed by the dense bullets. The situation changed drastically. Zhou Shuyan's expression changed drastically, but she had already expected this situation, and quickly made a gesture to tell her. The women nodded when they saw it. Since their whereabouts have been exposed, let's attack directly. They killed a lot of thugs along the way and obtained a lot of firearms. If they didn't want to alert the snake too early, they would have broken in directly and opened the door. The guns were fired. The women who received the instructions no longer hesitated, turned sideways into the room and started suppressing fire, preparing for a quick victory. The resistance on the 17th floor was not strong, and soon all the thugs were killed. Zhou Shuyan knew that there was no time to feel sad about the dead women. The most important thing now was to deal with all the remaining floors. Otherwise, the people upstairs would inform Wang Kui that there would be a pincer attack from above and below, and this operation would be failed. They met Jasmine in the stairwell on the 17th floor. Both women looked a little solemn, obviously knowing the seriousness of the matter. Sister Yan, what should I do? Do you want to implement the second plan? I can. Zhou Shuyan looked moved and looked at Jasmine, who was right in front of her. To be honest, she didn't want to use the second plan, but her reason told her that the second plan was the safest, but that would be too dangerous for Jasmine. Yes. As if she knew what Zhou Shuyan was thinking, Jasmine felt warm in her heart, took Zhou Shuyan's hand and said, Sister Yan, don't worry, it's okay. Believe me, Brother Bao, those women are all huddled on the 17th floor. What should we do now? Do you want to call Big Brother? In the corridor on the 18th floor, Lu Bao was sitting on a chair with a golden sword. Next to him, a younger brother bent down and asked carefully. Lu Bao is Wang Kui's right-hand man. It can be said that he is the second in command. Leaving Lu Bao behind this time was enough to prove that Wang Kui valued him. Lu Bao was strong and had a fierce expression. Under his open collar, you could see dense scars, which was particularly terrifying. He glared at Wang Kui fiercely. The younger brother next to him, Lu Bao, snorted coldly. What about the people who are watching in the monitoring room who are not successful enough but are prone to failure? The watchers across from me only found out after they reached the 17th floor. Are they all eating shit? Lu Bao's yelling and cursing made the thugs in the corridor feel fearful. Some of them even put their heads in their crotches. They were the ones on duty in the monitoring room, but they were playing poker at the time and did not watch the monitoring at all. Screen, when they thought about it, who could rush to the hotel when there were people on the roof watching? By the time they noticed, it was already too late. If they hadn't reported it in time, the 18th floor would have been wiped out. Such a huge loss, they have already thought about what kind of severe punishment they will receive. Snort. A bunch of trash. Lu Bao was angry in his heart, but now is not the time for punishment. The boss Wang Kui has not returned. It is not a wise choice to punish his subordinates now. The top priority is to deal with the women downstairs first. Thinking of this, Lu Bao's eyes flashed with ruthlessness, and he wanted to unless his subordinates reported it. He would never have imagined that the women he usually looked down upon would have the guts to make a sneak attack. Dozens of brothers died tragically due to carelessness, which was undoubtedly a hard slap on his face. Since those women want to die, let them do it today. Cheer up for me, come and prepare a team of people, rush down with me, and give them a pincer attack. Lu Bao gave the order, and more than a dozen boys immediately threw the ropes they had prepared from the window. Lu Bao put on his rappelling equipment, picked up a micro-ram and rushed down from the window on the 18th floor. Counting Lu Bao including Lu Bao, 15 people jumped down with submachine guns. Bullets were fired, and the windows on the 16th floor were broken one after another. 15 people filed out. Lu Bao rushed in front, spitting flames from the submachine gun in his hand, and the women who were staying on the 16th floor were hit one after another. The gun fell to the ground. Whether it was the woman from the dark fragrance bar or the original woman from the Zhenlong Hotel, Lu Bao spared no one. He was extremely ruthless and did not give the women a chance to speak. Even with the same weapon, there is no difference between a veteran who has been fighting for a long time and a rookie who just picked up a gun. Lu Bao led his men to sweep across the 16th floor, leaving no one alive. The most serious one on Lu Bao's side was only slightly injured, and he attacked the women on the 16th floor in a surprise attack. Caught off guard, there is no decent resistance. The 5 of you go to the stairs to guard, and no one who comes up will be spared. Pointing at 5 of them casually, Lu Bao waved his hand to the remaining 9 people and shouted, "You guys, come with me, notify the brothers upstairs, and put pressure on the 17th floor." At this point, Lu Bao waved his hand fiercely and shouted, "Today I will let those cousins know that fighting is a man's business, and it is better for women to be obedient slaves. On the 17th floor, the intensive gunfire coming from downstairs made Zhou Shuyan's face change slightly. No one answered the call. Zhou Shuyan's heart sank. She knew that the 16th floor had been lost, and the opponent's counterattack came too fast. You guys, guard the stair door on the 17th floor and don't let anyone in. Zhou Shuyan has no choice. Now she is on the verge of death. The women under her command rarely play with guns. There are not many women who like this thing. Fighting with Wang Kui's men is basically just delivering food. They can only defend conservatively. She can only place her hope on Jasmine now. If Jasmine can break through the 18th floor, then everything will be easy. If not, the hope of today's sneak attack is already slim. At the door of the stairwell, Jasmine tapped her toes, her body light. Ruo Hongmao, like a nimble kitten, made almost no sound wherever he passed. He moved his hands behind his back, and 2 pistols appeared in his hands. Taking a deep breath, Jasmine rushed out of the stairwell. Jasmine's figure extremely fast, with her concentration to the extreme, the subsequent raid was a near-death experience. If she was careless, the only result would be to be shot to death randomly. Her long-trained body was dexterous and strong, and her speed was astonishing, like a strong and powerful bird. The black female leopard rushed into the corridor. Several thugs guarding the entrance of the stairs felt their eyes blurred and did not realize what was going on. Continuous gunshots came and several thugs guarding the door were shot in the heart. He died on the ground. The sudden gunfire alarmed many thugs on the 18th floor. Seeing several brothers fall and Jasmine suddenly appeared, they all raised their guns and pulled the trigger without any hesitation. At this moment, Jasmine's pupils shrank to the extreme. At this moment, everyone's movements seemed to be infinitely slowed down in Jasmine's eyes. She couldn't dodge the bullets, but with her extraordinary physical fitness, she could dodge the movements of those thugs. She did dodge, she doesn't fire bullets, but she just needs to dodge the movement speed of those people. Shoo 2222. Dense bullets spurted out from the muzzle of the microblast gun. Jasmine jumped up on the spot, her crotch hitting the wall, as if she was walking on the wall. The dense rain of bullets whizzed past, but none of them fell on Jasmine. Bang bang bang. The 2 guns in her hands sprayed flames, and several thugs at the front fell down one after another. After doing this, Jasmine was not at all proud, but her expression was solemn. Without stopping at all, her figure somersaulted to the ground, and she slapped the ground with one hand. The figure suddenly rotated, and just after her figure turned sideways, a large number of bullets hit the ground, making dents one after another. As long as she was delayed for a few tenths of a second, she would be beaten into a hornet's nest by the dense bullets. This is the so-called second plan. Dancing on the tip of a knife, if you are not careful, you will only end up dead. Bang bang bang. Jasmine is fighting back. In fact, the situation in the corridor is favorable to her. She only needs to face a few enemies at a time. If it is an open area and faced with the shooting of dozens of thugs, she will only die. Is she a human? God. No matter how concentrated your mental power is, you can't pay attention to too many enemies. In this case, if you fail, you will die. The thugs fell down one by one. Jasmine looked slightly pale. The high-intensity exercise was too exhausting. This was because she had been exercising for so many years. Otherwise, she would have been unable to hold on. All the moves she did were difficult. In addition, the concentration is very high and it consumes a lot of energy. And this situation was seen by the thugs, and the original fear was swept away. Brothers, she can't hold it anymore. Don't be afraid, kill her together. A loud shout instantly boosted morale. Some of the thugs who were trying to retreat just now roared and pulled the trigger. This situation undoubtedly made things worse for Jasmine. There was no chance to breathe at all. Jasmine didn't even dare to take a moment. Stay, move your feet quickly, keep dodging the hail of bullets from the thugs, and keep fighting back. You can't stop. If you stop, you will die. There is only one way to go now. Wipe out the opponent, or be killed by the opponent kill. On the street outside the Zhenlong Hotel, the zombies roared, as if they were attracted by something. They gave up on the Zhenlong Hotel in front of them, turned around and rushed towards the end of the street like a tide. At the end of the street, a large number of zombies fell down. A tall and slender figure faced thousands of zombies alone. Dozens and hundreds of silver lights flashed in the air, and all the zombies that tried to get close were dismembered. It's strange to say that it's been more than a month since the end of the world, and these zombies don't have the shriveled, skinny appearance in the movie. Instead, they have full muscles, as if the cells and even all the functions in the body are still functioning, except for behaving like zombies. If you don't look at your head, you can't see anything different from humans. Lin Yu didn't have the time to pay attention to this. To her, these zombies were enemies and tools used to improve their abilities. She didn't need to think about why these zombies were no different from normal people. She just had to kill all the zombies that were blocking her way. Just die. Behind her, Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki walked in the front, while Li Fengzhou and others stood in the second echelon, killing zombies without any slowness. Along the way, countless zombies fell to the swords of the women. If Zhao Yanyan and the others hadn't opened the way, and if Tang Dao hadn't fed back some of its energy after killing the zombies, more than 100 women would have been drowned by the sea of corpses long ago, even if they were fully armed. The terror of zombies lies in their numbers. No matter how strong a person is, he cannot resist thousands of zombies. But with the superpowers and Tang Dao given by Lin Fan, and with constant recovery and replenishment, all this has never been impossible and has become possible. Even as more zombies are killed, the women become stronger and stronger. Not only am I not tired, but I am more energetic. In addition to Li Fengzhou, Xu Yan and Zhu Fangfang, the remaining 13 female warriors also successfully broke through and developed qi in their bodies, taking their strength to the next level. The best performing women such as Wang Ziwen and Lu Yuer have also made great progress in strength. If they were still afraid of zombies before, now they have completely ignored the horror of zombies, and even in their eyes, zombies are experienced babies. The feeling of feeling stronger just by killing a zombie is really awesome. It feels like they are playing a game. Zombies are monsters. They can gain experience by killing one. If it weren't for the experience prompts, they would have thought this was a real person online game. Perhaps the only difference is that this online game is very real. If you die once, you are completely dead, with no chance of resurrection. Their strength has grown steadily, and all the female warriors are extremely happy at this moment. Their choice is right. If they miss this opportunity, they will definitely regret it for the rest of their lives. Zhenlong Hotel was already in sight. Lin Yu's senses were sharp. She looked up at the height of the 17th and 18th floors. She felt the presence of many people, and it seemed that not only one party, but two parties were fighting. Among her inductions, the battle on the 18th floor was the most intense. The information fed back by the magnetic field was that a woman was fighting alone against dozens of men with guns. She felt the battle on the 18th floor through the magnetic field. A flash of surprise flashed in Lin Yu's plain eyes. Ran color. Ever since she gained the power of the magnetic field, few things could move Lin Yu, but what happened on the 18th floor was enough to cause ripples in her calm heart. The performance of the woman on the 18th floor was really great. She was obviously just an ordinary person, but the fighting power she displayed was enough to make her look sideways. If it were Li Fengzhou and the others, Lin Yu would not be surprised at all. In the perception, the woman's movements became slower and slower, and her breath became heavier and heavier. Lin Yu thought for a moment, no longer paying attention to the many zombies in front of her, and rose into the air, heading straight to the 18th floor of Zhenlong Hotel. Bang bang bang. The sound of pistols echoed, and Jasmine turned over, half kneeling on the ground. In the distant corridor, several thugs staggered and fell. Hoochie, hoochie. Panting heavily, a look of pain flashed in Jasmine's eyes. There was a clear bullet hole on her right thigh where she was half kneeling, and traces of blood dripped down her leather pants to the ground. She's hurt. After holding on for so long, she was finally injured. There were really too many enemies. The corridor was filled with the corpses of thugs, 20 or 30 of them. These thugs were either shot in the head or in the heart. All were killed with a gun. This was what Jasmine had trained for many years. As a result, just as Zhou Shuyan praised her, she was born to be a killer and a gun. But no matter how powerful she is still just a mortal with limited physical strength. After killing so many thugs, she has almost reached her limit. This record can scare countless people to death. This is all thanks to the corridor. In an open and empty place, she would have died a long time ago, but now she can't hold on any longer. The heavy physical exertion and the fact that Daxi was shot all declare the failure of her raid. She was ready to die. Looking at the thugs in the distance, the light in Jasmine's eyes dimmed. The worst thing was not that she was injured, but that the gun in her hand was out of bullets. The 2 pistols had a total of 8 magazines, all of which were empty. She doesn't have a lot of bullets, but there are too many enemies. Jasmine's embarrassment has been discovered by the thugs who are still alive. The blood on the ground and the empty pistol are all too obvious. Everything before was like a nightmare. None of the dozens of them could take down this devil-like woman in front of them. She could always dodge the bullets just right, and then use the pistol in her hand to kill the brothers around her. These the thugs were all frightened. Now, looking at Jasmine, who is half kneeling on the ground with a painful look on her face, the fear in the eyes of the thugs has dissipated. It is human nature to bully the weak and fear the strong. In the eyes of the thugs, Jasmine is no longer a threat at this time. Thinking about how many brothers she had killed, a strong anger rose in her heart. They want to vent the psychological shadow that Jasmine brought to them, to vent that fear, and the Jasmine in front of them is the best target. They want to torture severely. Only in this way can their fearful hearts be calmed, otherwise, they may live in the shadows their entire lives. The best way to eliminate fear is to face it head on and then eliminate it in the most cruel way. Looking at Jasmine, who was half kneeling on the ground with a pained expression, Zhang Peng walked out with Weichong in his hand. He was almost scared to death just now. The brothers in front of him fell down one after another. The woman in front of him was like a harvester. The god of death, he thought he was going to die too, but unexpectedly, the woman in front of him was injured. The gun in your hand is out of bullets. It's like a tiger without its claws and fangs, and even its tail. Is there anything to be afraid of in such a tiger? Thinking about being so frightened by such a woman that he almost peed his pants, Zhang Peng felt as if his face was on fire. But now, this woman has no power to resist. He wants to inflict all the fear he has endured during this period on this woman 1,000 times. It was not just Zhang Peng who came out, but also several other petty bosses. At this time, several of them had evil smiles on their faces, as if they were imagining ways to torture the woman in front of them. Brothers, this woman has no power to resist. What do you think we should do to control her? Zhang Peng's eyes flashed with silver light. If nothing else, the woman in front of him is really the best. No matter her face or figure, especially wearing a tight leather jacket, she is even more sexy. The little boss next to him chuckled. Of course, have fun first, and then kill. Revenge your brothers. Can you do it? Is it necessary to kill? Brother, I can make her die hundreds of times, the other little boss said, and he shook his crotch. The meaning is self-evident. Zhang Peng's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he snorted. Killing her is simply too easy for her. It's easy to die. How many times? 10 brothers are enough for her to die. Only in this way can we comfort the spirits of our brothers in heaven. Looking at Zhang Peng and others approaching, especially listening to those dirty words, Jasmine gritted her teeth with hatred, but she did not act rashly. The gun in her hand had no bullets, but it did not mean that she had no power to resist. Behind her there are 2 daggers on her waist. Not only guns, daggers are also her strong point. As long as these men dare to come over, she will definitely let them know what the consequences will be if they fail to deal with her from a distance. Jasmine's heart, it was a good idea, but Zhang Peng was not a fool. He raised his hand slightly, and the few bosses next to him were startled. Zhang Peng, don't mess around, brothers haven't played yet, what are you doing? Zhang Peng smiled sinisterly, don't underestimate this woman. What if the boat capsizes in the gutter? Let's cripple her arm first, then why can't she play with it? Hearing this, several small bosses nodded repeatedly. Looking at the muzzle of Zhang Peng's raised gun, Jasmine felt desperate. She didn't expect that the man in front of her at this time, before he was blinded by beauty, would have such a scheming mind. Thinking of being insulted next, Jasmine secretly hated her heart. She quickly moved her hands, and a dagger appeared in her hand. She flipped it back and was about to commit suicide. She didn't want to live to bear the insult, so she had no choice but to die. This may be what she did for herself. Save the last bit of dignity. Seeing the sudden increase in daggers in Jasmine's hand, several of the bosses, including Zhang Peng, felt cold, especially Zhang Peng. Fortunately, he was smart, otherwise he might have fallen into the hands of this woman in the past. It's in. Seeing Jasmine about to commit suicide, Zhang Peng was angry. I haven't played yet. You want to commit suicide? If you commit suicide, what else will I play? Thinking like this, Zhang Peng couldn't care about anything else. His finger quickly pulled the trigger. Choo-choo-choo. Flames spurted out from the muzzle of the gun, and a few bullets pierced the air. Jasmine smiled slightly. Shooting at this time would not be able to stop her, but she had not waited for the dagger. Putting it on her neck, she suddenly found that she couldn't move it. This situation made Jasmine's heart skip a beat. If she couldn't commit suicide, wouldn't she have to live a life worse than death? Thinking of this, Jasmine tried hard to move her arm, but found that she couldn't move it. Unable to move. Jasmine panicked. This situation was too weird. She tried to commit suicide but failed. She could no longer imagine what would happen next, but where are the bullets? No matter how inaccurate the opponent's marksmanship is, at such a close range, it won't be a missed shot, right? Jasmine originally closed her eyes and planned to endure the insult, but the bullet didn't hit her body for a long time. This situation made Jasmine couldn't help but open her eyes, and then she froze. Looking at the bullets stop not far in front of them, Jasmine was dumbfounded. She almost thought she was hallucinating. How could the bullets stop in midair? With such good skills, wouldn't it be a pity to commit suicide? Just when Jasmine was confused, a cold voice came. Jasmine followed the sound and saw a figure slowly walked out of a certain room. He was tall, with long hair like a waterfall, cold eyes, and a delicate and elegant face. The aura of the superior person is condensed and never disperses. What a beautiful, noble woman! Jasmine was surprised, but it soon turned into doubts. How did such a beautiful and elegant woman walk out of that room? Wang Kui's power did not treat women as human beings, they were all playthings. How could such a beautiful and elegant woman still have such an elegant temperament? If this noble woman were here with Wang Kui, she would have been disabled long ago, right? Jasmine doesn't understand. Who are you? Wang Peng and others in the corridor as well as other thugs looked at Lin Yuyu who came out with vigilance. In Zhang Peng's memory, the woman in front of him was not in Zhenlong Hotel. Where did this woman come from? Lin Yuyu said calmly. He glanced at Zhang Peng and asked, "Are you Wang Kui's people?" Zhang Peng was stunned. For a moment, he was a little unsure of Lin Yuyu's identity. Zhang Peng was calling their boss by his first name. This woman seemed to be very noble. What was this woman's identity? He couldn't figure it out. And Zhang Peng couldn't figure it out either. Don't dare to offend. If you accidentally offend someone you shouldn't, Wang Kui will kill him in minutes. Forehead. Yes, Wang Kui is my eldest brother. Who are you? Yes, that's it. Lin Yuyu nodded, took out her cell phone and dialed. We're already here. Those two people didn't lie. Let's kill them. Zhang Peng was stunned. What do you mean? What's not lying? Who to kill? His doubts are destined to be unexplained. Lin Yuyu waved his hand casually, and several bullets flew back. Under Lin Yuyu's control, the bullets were like as if he had eyes. He blasted Lieutenant Zhang Peng and others in the head with a muffled, puff, sound, and even flew upside down, spinning around and blowing the heads off all the remaining thugs. Watching the remaining dozens of thugs stagger and fall next, Jasmine was stunned. What are you doing? What is this thing? Why does it feel like watching a science fiction movie? Do you think you are the heroine from the League of Assassins? With a flick of your hand? The bullets circled around and hit several heads, flying back. Jasmine felt that her brain was turning to mush. How could everything that happened before her eyes feel like a dream? Nothing was real. If the pain in her thighs hadn't told her that this was not a dream, she would have doubted it. Are you still awake today? After dealing with the remaining thugs, Lin Yuyu walked up to Jasmine and then held out her hand. You are very good. From today on, you are the maid of the Lord. I wanted to hold Lin Yuyu's hand and stand up, but when I heard this unexpectedly, Jasmine was stunned on the spot. What do you mean? I am so good that I want to become the maid of the master. I thank you so much. Although she didn't understand, but Jasmine still understood the meaning of people under the roof. The shock caused by Lin Yuyu's behavior just now still remained in her heart. With Lin Yuyu's strength, she stood up. Jasmine wanted to ask something, but she found the woman in front of her. Walked back to the room. Confused, Jasmine followed, only to find Lin Yuyu standing next to the window. Look outside. I believe you will be stronger than them in the future. Your talents should not be buried. Hearing this, Jasmine curiously walked to the window. She was not afraid of Lin Yuyu pushing her down. She believed that Lin Yuyu wouldn't, otherwise she wouldn't be the only one. Standing by the window and looking at the street on the ground, she opened her eyes wide and looked at the women who were killing the zombies. She was a little unable to recover. How can this be? Is it weird? The calm tone seemed to be telling something normal. Jasmine looked at Lin Yuyu with a look of disbelief on her face. Isn't this strange? Looking at the women below, Jasmine didn't know how to describe it. More than 100 people crossed the street and killed the tide of corpses. Tell me, isn't this strange? If you hadn't experienced everything before and saw this situation, Lin Yuyu will definitely be the same as Jasmine, but she met Lin Fan, the man who changed her life. Is there anything to be surprised about? For me, this is normal, and for my master, this is even more natural. I am optimistic about you, so I gave you this opportunity. If your performance was not so amazing, I would not have said that to you. I won't come here to save you. Lin Yuyu withdrew her gaze, glanced at Jasmine, whose face was full of astonishment, and slowly walked towards the door. Your talents should not be buried. You can go further by surrendering to our Lord. Believe me, many years later you will be grateful for the decision you made. Watching Lin Yuyu walk out of the room, Jasmine's eyes were blank. She didn't understand why Lin Yuyu was so sure. Recalling the extraordinary performance of Lin Yuyu, and then looking at the women pushing forward on the street below, Jasmine seemed a little got it. Lin Yuyu is very mysterious and powerful. What he shows is like something that can only be seen in science fiction movies, more like superpowers. If Lin Yuyu still can't understand, those women on the street are like you can see something. Can a normal person wear khaki armor and run rampant among the zombies with khaki sword? Can a normal person be like the woman walking behind with a smile and surrounded by vines? And the surroundings, those women are all ridiculously strong. Can normal people wield sword energy? This is beyond common sense, right? More than 100 people can defeat thousands of zombies. If it were a normal person, they would have been overwhelmed by the zombies. Has it become a meal on the plate? Which normal person can kill zombies like chopping melons and vegetables? Without stopping? Normal people will be tired, okay? Zombies are not cabbage. Fuck. How is this normal? After seeing this all kinds of extraordinary, Jasmine probably understood what Lin Yuyu said. Submitting to that unknown lord, she could also have this kind of extraordinary strength. Even according to Lin Yuyu's meaning, her talent was amazing, and she could very well become Lin Yuyu. People like Yuyu. That means possessing extraordinary power. Jasmine is now a little curious. How terrifying is the lord who is above Lin Yuyu, so that he can suppress such a mysterious and powerful woman like Lin Yuyu? Yes. Mysterious and powerful. Jasmine is not a fool. She heard from Lin Yuyu's words that the other party came up specially to save her, so she definitely didn't come up. The confrontation was still on the 17th floor. That woman, she came directly from below, flying up. Although this is incredible, there is a voice in Jasmine's heart telling her that she must believe that the woman flew up directly from below. As for why the other party can fly, this is beyond comprehension. On the 16th floor, Lu Bao fired a burst of microguns at the upstairs. The bullets flew and hit the stairs, causing large sparks to burst out. Zhou Shuyan upstairs was not weak at all, and she quickly fired back at the people downstairs with the captured microguns. The color made Lu Bao fall back. In the corridor on the 16th floor, Lu Bao cursed angrily, turned to look behind him, and shouted, "Have you called the people upstairs? What are those losers doing?" The boy standing behind was full of fear and stammered, "Bao Bao. Brother Bao, I called, but no one picked up. I don't know what I'm doing." Grass. A bunch of trash. Lu Bao was so angry that he wanted to rush up with a gun and shoot all those women, but he could only think about it. Although he looked down on the women upstairs, bullets don't have long eyes. He showed off his courage and rushed forward. He was probably beaten into a hornet's nest halfway. No matter how stupid the woman upstairs was, she wouldn't let him go up. The result of being the first to be the first is death. If the 18th floor doesn't put pressure on the people below, he may almost never try to rush up. 0. Lu Bao was restless, and Zhou Shuyan upstairs was equally anxious. Every second that passed meant that Jasmine upstairs would be in danger. She could only pray that Jasmine could eliminate the people upstairs. Those people, Only in this way can they have a chance to win. At this moment, there was a sudden sound of footsteps on the stairs. The footsteps were very light and rare. It seemed that there was only one person, and she was a woman, because men cannot make such sounds. The sound of footsteps made Zhou Shuyan feel happy. She quickly looked up, but was shocked to find that the person coming down from upstairs was not Jasmine, but a woman she didn't recognize. "Who are you? Where's Jasmine?" Watching the woman coming downstairs with vigilance, Zhou Shuyan did not shoot rashly. She saw that the other woman had no weapons in her hands and did not look like she had one on her body. She walked downstairs with a calm expression and her steps were not hurried. Slowly, Lin Yuyu glanced at Zhou Shuyan, who was looking wary, and said calmly, "If the Jasmine you are talking about is the girl with good skills, she is upstairs now." After hearing the news about Jasmine, Zhou Shuyan felt happy. "How is Jasmine? Are you injured? Have all the people above been wiped out?" "Well, those thugs are dead. You don't need to know who I am for the time being. You just need to know that from now on, you are all mine. I will deal with those people below." Lin Yuyu's words were very plain, as if she was talking about something big. That unquestionable calmness shocked Zhou Shuyan. Over time, the growth in strength gave Lin Yuyu unparalleled confidence. Shifting qi, nourishing the body, the breath of the superior person naturally emanated from the words, and Zhou Shuyan, a woman who had also been in a high position for a long time, was a little speechless. Even in Zhou Shuyan's self-feeling, Lin, it was normal and natural for Yuyu to do this, as if everything should be like this. She couldn't find any room for refutation. It wasn't until Lin Yuyu's figure passed her and disappeared from sight that Zhou Shuyan suddenly came back to her senses. Her eyes were horrified. Looking at Lin Yuyu who had disappeared, Zhou Shuyan was indescribably shocked. Just now, she was completely controlled by that mysterious woman. There was no room for resistance at all, and she was led by others. Looking back, looking at the girls behind her, who also looked like they couldn't come to their senses, Zhou Shuyan smiled bitterly in her heart. What kind of evildoer had she encountered? After smiling bitterly, Zhou Shuyan looked downstairs. She was very curious about that mysterious creature. How on earth is this woman going to eliminate Lu Bao and the others downstairs? She can't be trying to reason with her bare hands, right? "Xiao Li, you guys go upstairs to see Jasmine." Zhou Shuyan didn't dare to leave here. She had to be prepared for Lu Bao to rush up to her, but she was also worried about Jasmine's condition. Although the woman said she was fine, she still had to see everything with her eyes before she would feel relieved. "No, I'm already down." Before she could make any move, Jasmine's voice came from upstairs. Zhou Shuyan looked upstairs with a happy face, only to find that Jasmine was limping down the stairs while holding her hand. Zhou Shuyan also paid attention at this moment. Lu Bao, who was no longer going downstairs, quickly went upstairs to Jasmine's side to support her. Looking at the still bleeding wound on Jasmine's body, he said in surprise, "You were shot? Sit down." Being shot is not a trivial matter. Without medical conditions, it is difficult to retrieve bullets, not to mention the follow-up work. If it is not handled well, let alone whether the patient can be saved. If it is infected, the life can be saved. They are two different things. Sensing the anxiety in Zhou Shuyan's tone, Jasmine felt a warmth rise in her heart, smiled and comforted. "Sister Yan is fine. The gunshot wound is not serious. Did you see a woman coming down just now?" Zhou Shuyan was stunned when she heard this. She thought of the woman just now, nodded her head, and then asked curiously, "Do you know that woman?" Recalling Lin Yuyu and the scenes on the street, Jasmine shook her head and told what she saw and heard upstairs. Zhou Shuyan's face changed as she listened, nervous, amazed, shocked, confused, etc. There were various expressions. The women on the side listened to Jasmine's story with incredible expressions on their faces, as if they had heard some fantasy. Even Xiao Li and others who had just been called by name rushed up to them without believing anything. She walked downstairs, and then walked down in despair not long after. Looking at Xiao Li and the others who seemed to have lost their souls, Zhou Shuyan felt something in her heart. She probably knew in her heart that everything Jasmine said was true. But she would rather believe it. "That's fake. Are you kidding me? Superpowers really exist. And they appear in front of you. Can a woman be that strong? Killing zombies is as easy as chopping melons and vegetables, and even has knife aura and so on. This is simply too fantasy." Just that condition. Zhou Shuyan frowned. She is a proud and arrogant woman, otherwise she would not have run away from home in anger and came to the Magic City to start from scratch. On the one hand, it is extraordinary ability. Selling yourself as a slave, it's really hard to choose. As a good sister, Jasmine could naturally tell what was going on in Zhou Shuyan's face, and smiled bitterly. Sister, do you think the other party gives us the right to choose? Jasmine figured it out upstairs. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. Why did Lin Yu come here? Through a series of things that happened upstairs, she already figured it out. Why did Wang Kui take people out? Apparently he found out I fell in love with these women, and then felt that they were easy to bully, and ended up hitting the steel plate. The reason why I haven't come back yet is not because I don't want to, but because I can't come back. That phone call has shown a lot of things, and none of the women upstairs have not dead, but all the men are dead. Why is this? Looking at the women downstairs who are so fierce that they are not like normal people, Jasmine has guessed a lot of things. Does she have a choice? No choice. No matter what, the result is the same, that is, being taken away and becoming the lowest tool. Resistance? That does not exist. The result of resistance must be death. Jasmine's bitter laughter made Zhou Shuyan slightly stunned. Recalling what the woman just said, it seemed she was not given the right to choose at all. Zhou Shuyan's face was turning blue and white. She understood now. The choice was not in her hands. She had overthinked it. She was now their captive. Is there any choice? No, they have already the choices made. I never thought that I would have this day. Now that the matter is settled, go bring down all the women upstairs and get ready to leave. Back on the 17th floor, looking at Zhou Shuyan who looked a little decadent, Lin Yu didn't know why she became like this, and she didn't want to know that there would be unexpected gains when she came out this time. This was something she didn't expect, but it was pretty good. She likes accidents like this. If you come here a few more times, the hospital will grow rapidly. After Lin Yu finished speaking, several women subconsciously obeyed the order and wanted to go upstairs, but they took a few steps to realize that it was not Zhou Shuyan who was giving the order. The eldest sister quickly looked at Zhou Shuyan, not knowing what to do for a moment. Jasmine was still calm and nodded to a few women, who then went upstairs, and soon dozens of women came down, each holding more or less something in their hands. Glancing at the frustrated Zhou Shuyan, Lin Yu said calmly, "If you can't even bear this little blow, how can you still be in a high position?" As if awakened by this sentence, Zhou Shuyan quickly came back to her senses, looked at Lin Yu walking downstairs, gritted her teeth and said, "Let's go too. 10 years ago I could start from scratch, and 10 years later I will still be the same. You can climb up little by little from the bottom." Boundless fighting spirit arose in Zhou Shuyan's heart. She greeted the sisters behind her, and started to go downstairs with Jasmine in her arms. On the 16th floor, looking at the miserable death of Lu Bao and others in the corridor, he looked again and saw that only Lu Bao and others were left. With Lin Yu in the back, Zhou Shuyan sighed. She didn't even hear the gunshot just now, but Lu Bao and others were all dead. This method. It's so unpredictable. Meeting the sisters on each floor along the way, Zhou Shuyan looked at Lin Yu going straight to the door of the first floor. Zhou Shuyan wanted to say something, but thinking of Lin Yu's mysterious strength, she held back her words when she reached the door. She really wanted to see what this woman was capable of. With a wave of his hand, the closed door opened, and the zombies outside poured in like a flood. Seeing the zombies rushing in, Zhou Shuyan and others turned pale and clenched their hands. Arms. So many zombies rush in. If you are not careful, they will all become the zombies' dinner. Lin Yu has seen the same scene many times. In her mind, the silver light intertwined into a network, and the zombies that rushed in fell to the ground one after another. They could no longer die. The silver knife net was strangulating the zombies outside the door crazily. It seems that the speed is too slow, or there are too many zombies outside. Lin Yu raised his foot and stamped. The ground seemed to shake hugely, terrifying airwaves swept out, the magnetic field was instantly detonated at this moment, and the zombies were vulnerable. Their heads couldn't withstand the shock wave of this magnetic field explosion, and they exploded one after another. It was like blood-colored fireworks blew up in the air, and the blood rain scattered all over the sky, flying towards the outside world driven by the magnetic field shock wave, while the headless corpses fell backwards like dominoes being toppled. In an instant, thousands of zombies crowded outside the door were killed one after another under this stamp, and the ground was blasted with distinct dents by the magnetic field shockwave. Zhou Shuyan's eyes were dull and she opened her eyes slightly. The shock in her heart was like a tsunami, and the rumbling sound almost knocked her head out. What did she see? As soon as he stepped down, thousands of zombies exploded, and a crater appeared in front of him as if he had been bombarded by a missile. Is this humanly possible? This was still a casual kick from the opponent. If there were more kicks like this, would the Magic City be destroyed? Is that human being? What a walking nuclear bomb. Humane nuclear weapons, powerful and pollution-free. Such a fierce woman, let alone zombies. Even if you are a tank, you can't withstand this kick. Who can withstand this? Gone. A cold voice came from the front. Zhou Shuyan came back to her senses. The shocked women also came back to their senses. Lin Yuyu's kick crushed the reluctance and unwillingness in everyone's hearts, including Zhou Shuyan's. The power of the kick almost made everyone a god on the spot. Everyone's heads were buzzing after being kicked. What's there to question? Are you unwilling? Are you unwilling? Do you want me to give you a kick? I'll give you a kick. 50% off, or even 10% off, as long as you can bear it, you can ask for anything. Following Lin Yuyu and leaving the hotel, looking at the headless corpses falling at their feet, the women felt like shocking. These are real zombies. It would be very difficult for them to deal with just one or two, but the woman in front just raised her foot and killed thousands of zombies. This is too terrifying. Puff puff puff. Swish, swish, swish. As soon as I came to the street, there were waves of dense sounds. The women followed the sound and looked. Not far ahead, a large group of women waved the tang knives in their hands, strangling the corpses. There were even steel-like vines swinging, and the zombies were cut into several pieces on the spot. There was also an earthy figure among the corpses. Wherever they went, the zombies were either knocked away or chopped in half. They were simply human-shaped. Tank, looking at the scenes in front of them, the women's eyes were dull. When did zombies become so vulnerable? How come in front of these women, the originally terrifying zombies were killed at will like harmless living targets? Women, they all doubted their lives. Is this because they are too weak, or is the woman across from them too strong? It must be that the other party is too strong, right? The few zombies were quickly cleaned up, and as the khaki armor disappeared, a look-alike the sweet girl next door appeared in front of the women, followed closely by a woman who was charming and exuding charm. Behind her were women with murderous intent and cold eyes. The evil aura made the women's faces turn a little pale. This was the evil aura raised by killing hundreds of zombies. Not to mention ordinary women, ordinary soldiers would also lose their fighting spirit under this evil aura. This was after the women deliberately restrained themselves. The effect, otherwise the women behind Zhou Shuyan would be scared to their knees on the spot. Urinary incontinence is normal. Sister Yuyu, are these the gains this time? So many people? Li Siki came up with a smile, and looked at Zhou Shuyan and others behind with big eyes curiously, looking very surprised. Not to mention Li Siki was surprised. How could Jasmine and the others not be the same? The earthy yellow armor disappeared, and what appeared was like this: a cute and sweet pretty girl next door. This visual impact is simply too strong. Zhao Yanyan also walked up. Her narrow and beautiful eyes were full of charm. After being exploited by Lin Fan many times, the charm became even more touching, full of the feeling of a fairy. Looking at Li Siki's curious look, Lin Yuyu smiled slightly. Ever since they were given superpowers, Li Siki and the others had different identities. Although they still called themselves maids, in Lin Yuyu's eyes, they are already sisters. After touching Li Siki's little head, Lin Yuyu liked this cute girl like the girl next door. She explained softly. This is an unexpected surprise. Another force happened to attack Zhenlong. In the hotel, the other parties were all women, and they happened to be served in one pot. Zhou Shuyan smiled bitterly in her heart. What is this? A snipe and a clam fighting for the fisherman's profit? Of course, she also knew in her heart that after the other party killed Wang Kui, it would be their turn sooner or later. The difference was just the length of time. Pull back your hand. Lin Yuyu looked at Zhao Yanyan behind and said softly, Yan, I'm going to trouble you again. With that said, Lin Yuyu turned to look at Jasmine, who was being supported, and waved to her to come over. Jasmine didn't dare to disobey, and limped to Lin Yuyu's side. Zhao Yanyan is not someone who doesn't know how to give thanks. Lin Yuyu gave her a good look, but she didn't dare to hold on. Even if they both had superpowers, she couldn't compare with Lin Yuyu. Zhao Yanyan, who stepped forward, saw the gunshot wound on Jasmine and immediately understood what Lin Yuyu meant. Glanced at Jasmine in surprise. In Zhao Yanyan's heart, Lin Yuyu was not someone who spoke casually. If Wang Ziwen had not performed well before, Lin Yuyu would not have let her heal Wang Ziwen. Thinking of the previous Lin Yuyu left early, probably because of this woman, right? I just don't know what is so outstanding about this woman. Just as she stopped for a while, another zombie rushed over from the street behind, and before Lin Yuyu could say anything, Li Fengzhao and others took out their tang swords from their sheaths, and their figures passed over the girls like the wind. A group of 16 people stood still in place. The energy in their bodies condensed to the peak, the sword flashed, and the terrifying sword energy rushed out, half-a-meter-long sword energy in succession. In one piece, it was like a giant guillotine slashing through it. The zombies that rushed over were cut in half in an instant. Dozens of sword energy flew dozens of meters away before dissipating. The entire street was cleared in an instant. Hundreds of women watched this scene with their eyes. Shocking, just one blow cleared the streets dozens of meters away. When did women become so powerful? Sit down. Zhao Yanyan had a smile on her face. She had become accustomed to these things. After seeing them more often, she was no longer shocked. Even with her current strength, one person can do what Li Fengzhao and more than 10 people can do. Superpowers, it's nothing like the power she comprehended. After coming back to her senses and looking at the smiling Zhao Yanyan in front of her, Jasmine nodded subconsciously and was about to sit down, but she didn't realize until she was halfway through sitting that there was nothing under her butt. But, soon, she discovered that at some point, there was a wooden stool under her feet. Jasmine looked at Zhao Yanyan curiously. She knew that this was probably the other party's ability. After Yian sat down, Jasmine looked at Zhao Yanyan curiously. She didn't know what the woman in front of her was going to do. Was it to treat her injury? But she didn't see the medical kit in her hand. In the midst of curiosity about magic, Zhao Yanyan raised her hand, with green light emitting from her palm. And Jasmine she felt pain in the wound, and then a bullet fell out. Then, dots of green light penetrated into her leather pants, and the slightest coolness dissipated the pain, and then she felt. It didn't seem to hurt that much anymore, but it was a little itchy, like a scar from a wound. Looking at the fairy-like woman in front of her, she remembered that her name seemed to be Yanyan, right? Could it be that the other party used that kind of superpower to heal her injury? Are you kidding me? This is a gunshot wound. You have to recover time, right? Just when Jasmine was thinking wildly, Zhao Yanyan withdrew her superpower, clapped her hands, stood up, and said with a smile. Okay, your injury has healed. Try standing up and walking a few laps. Jasmine. What did I say? After touching Shang-Chi, Jasmine looked confused. What's going on? She is fine now. What about the recovery period? I accept you holding bullets with your bare hands, but what about the recovery period? Just skipped it? Can superpowers do whatever they want? Feeling that Da Bai was no different from usual, Jasmine glanced at Zhao Yanyan and felt silent in her heart. Sorry, powers can really do whatever you want, withered. Do you still need to go back and get something? Lin Yuyu has not yet reached the point of being inhumane. She looked at Zhou Shuyan and others and asked. Zhou Shuyan was still in a daze at this moment. What she saw in just 10 minutes shocked her. 3 views, she saw another side of the world. Hearing Lin Yuyu's question, Zhou Shuyan subconsciously said in awe. There are some clothes and the like, can we go get them? Unconsciously, Zhou Shuyan put away her arrogance. She had already accepted her fate. Lin Yuyu's power and the inhuman terror of the women in front of her had polished off her edges. She subconsciously lowered her position. This it's the awe brought by huge strength. Can. Lin Yuyu nodded, and the team set off. More than 100 female warriors were in front, waving the Tang Dao in their hands without any tricks. The swords were directed towards the neck. If they wanted to become stronger faster and stand out, you have to kill faster than others. The result of being fancy is that if you kill one, others have already killed 2, and even the 3rd zombie is about to be killed. This time Li Fengzhao and others did not take action, but guards were placed around Zhou Shuyan and others to prevent a zombie from suddenly jumping out from somewhere, disturbing Lin Yuyu, or harming these women. Jasmine was closest to Li Fengzhao. Looking at these cold-looking women, she was very curious. Why is the other party so powerful? Looking at Xu Yan and Zhu Fangfeng next to her, Jasmine still thinks that Li Fengzhao is easier to talk to. Hello, my name is Jasmine. Li Fengzhao frowned, nodded and said, Li Fengzhao. Li Fengzhao recognized Jasmine. There are only two women who can be treated by Lin Yuyu. One is Wang Ziwen and the other is Jasmine next to her. If nothing else, these two women will be trained intensively, even there is a high chance of entering the core level. Li Fengzhao is someone who has been here before. She can see that Jasmine is still undressed. She is beautiful and full of heroic spirit. The key is that she also has an explosive figure, especially in a leather jacket, which is even more eye-catching. She can't stand it for any woman. She couldn't help but take a second look, let alone a man. Li Fengzhao didn't want to offend such a potential stalk. If one day someone climbed up a branch and became a phoenix, she would have no place to cry if she was given little shoes to wear. Seeing that Li Fengzhao was not difficult to talk to and even managed to give her a smile, Jasmine felt a lot more relaxed and said in an insinuating way, Sister, why are you so powerful? I mean, whoosh, he swung out his sword energy, which is so cool. Li Fengzhao understood now. This girl wants to know how to become stronger. She is good at this. She is the best at brainwashing. Thinking of Lin Fan, Li Fengzhao showed a look of fanatical admiration on her face, although she knew she definitely has no hope, but that doesn't stop her from worshipping her fantasy. I was actually the same as you before, except that I was in a worse situation and was bullied by men. Later, the Lord saved us all and gave us the ability to become stronger. Everything we have now is given to us by the Lord. Including the divine power of the mistresses, are also given by the Lord. Listening to Li Fengzhao's narration, Jasmine became even more curious. Zhou Shuyan, who was listening with her ears propped up, couldn't help but come closer. Li Fengzhao glanced at her and didn't care. Is your lord a man or a woman? Are you all maids? Are you willing to be someone else's maid? Especially with such a powerful force. Li Fengzhao chuckled and shook her head when she heard this. We are not maids, we are warriors born for the Lord. We can remove all obstacles for the Lord. Everything we have is given by the Lord, including strength. There is nothing to be unwilling to do. As for the Lord, he is the greatest man in the world. No. Is God. Do you understand? Is God? Looking at the enthusiasm and seriousness on Li Fengzhao's face, Jasmine and Zhou Shuyan looked at each other, both a little confused. Where was your cool style just now? Why did you mention that the master turned into a fanatical female licker in an instant? But they still knew about the master. The information, the man who gave everyone the power to become stronger. They couldn't imagine that Lin Yuyu's powerful abilities were all given by that master. How terrible is that so-called master? Zhou Xu Yan shook her head to get rid of the messy thoughts in her head, and asked, What is your master's personality like? Will he do the same things to women as those men on the internet? Will he force you? Hearing this, Li Fengzhao glared at Zhou Shuyan fiercely and said in a very dissatisfied tone, How could your lord do such a thing? If the Lord thinks that he doesn't despise me, I will definitely be the first to rush forward and offer myself as a pillow. Will the Lord be short of women? My second. Zhu Fangfeng next to her couldn't help it and whispered. Xu Yan couldn't stabilize his cold expression and said emotionally, Then I will be the third one. My fourth. And I. The female warriors who were close couldn't help but raise their eyebrows and reported in a low voice. Although they all knew that they were dreaming about such things, they didn't even have dreams. That would be worse than salted fish. Seeing these stunning female warriors like this, Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine were stunned on the spot. What happened? Is the way they opened it wrong? Li Fengzhao sighed at this time, looking at the incredible expressions on Jasmine's faces. She raised her finger and pointed at the female warriors fighting hard in front. Said, Did you see that? Pretty, right? Killing zombies is fierce, right? Her name is Wang Ziwen. She is a potential stalk who was appreciated by Mistress before you, and was also healed by Mistress Yan Yan with her divine power. Isn't that worse than you? That one's name is Lu Yuer, that one's name is Qin Shiyue, and that one's name is Han Jingyi. Did you see it? These people I pointed out are no worse than you in terms of body, appearance or temperament, right? Jasmine and Zhou Shuyan looked at the sound and nodded. Indeed, in their opinion, the women pointed out by Li Fengzhao are no worse than them in terms of figure and appearance, and each has its own characteristics. What happened to them? Li Fengzhao glanced at the two women, shook her head and said, "They are all working hard now, hoping to be valued by the Lord, and then they can rely on the Lord. You should know what kind of service you rely on. Each of them is a young lady. So far, you've worked so hard and still haven't been ranked. Where do you get the courage to think that the Lord will force us?" Shu Yan sneered at this time, glanced at the two women, and said sarcastically, "Don't think too highly of yourself. I'm prettier and have a better figure than you. You won't even be able to queue up. There are hundreds of numbers. I'm thinking, you'd better just wait in line at the back. I don't know where your persecution paranoia comes from. Wake up. There is only one Lord, but for the hundreds of people who want to crawl over, when do you think it will be your turn?" After being ridiculed for a while, Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine felt embarrassed. Especially Zhou Shuyan. She wanted to find a way to hide in the ground. This was so embarrassing. To be honest, she didn't expect that it was so competitive. It was her fault. I was thinking before whether I would be forced, but I didn't know. There are so many high-quality resources waiting for her, so there is no need for her to worry. After being ridiculed, Zhou Shuyan calmed down a lot and no longer thought about being forced, and instead focused her attention elsewhere. "You say that everything you have now is given by the Lord. Why do you say that?" Li Fengzhao flashed the Tang Dao in her hand. "Did you see it? This is the weapon given to me by the Lord. It contains 1/1000th of the power of the Lord. As long as I kill zombies with this knife, I can activate the power stored in the sword by the Lord, and then feed it back to myself, and then I can become stronger. Did you see them? They work so hard to kill zombies, partly because they want to climb up and be noticed by their masters, and partly because they want to become stronger." Zhou Shuyan looked shocked, and Jasmine was not much better. She stared closely at the Tang Dao in Li Fengzhao's hand, and her heart was filled with panic. This knife actually has such a powerful ability. Killing zombies can activate it. It is really shocking to store the power and then feed it back to become stronger. The Lord can give such a powerful weapon, but how powerful is it? Everything I have seen and heard until now is all given to the Lord I have never met. It added an unknown amount of mystery, and both of them were still a little confused. It turned out that the reason why these women were so strong was because of this knife. Putting away the look of surprise on her face, Jasmine looked at Li Fengzhao with fire in her eyes. Asked, "Sister, how long has it been since you obtained this knife? How many zombies did you kill to become so strong?" Li Fengzhao thought for a while and said uncertainly, 3 days or 4 days. I can't remember exactly. As for the zombies, I think we killed 500 or 600, maybe more. I haven't counted them carefully." Hiss. Li Fengzhao said it simply, but to the ears of Jasmine and Zhou Shuyan, it was like a thunderclap, frying the two women until they were charred on the outside and tender on the inside. 3 or 4 days? Killed 500 or 600 zombies? Are you a devil? While their hearts were shocked, the two women also had an uncontrollable desire in their hearts. If they were also given weapons, wouldn't they be able to become so strong in just a few days? What kind of zombies will that be? What is that? Aren't they just easy targets? Just look at the female warriors in front and you will know that the zombies are as weak as a piece of paper. They were not afraid of zombies before. If they had this weapon, what would they do? Thinking of this, the eyes between Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine became more and more intense. Now Zhou Shuyan felt a little regretful. What did she say about going back to get clothes? Are clothes useless? It's better to go back early. Maybe you can get weapons earlier? Regret. Regret. Li Fengzhao's words were loud. Not only Jasmine and 2 people heard it, but the women nearby also heard it clearly. They knew the root cause of the strength of the female warriors. Each of these women's eyes flashed with fiery light. Don't worry about joining the queue or not, this weapon, they're determined to win. Especially the women brought out by Zhou Shuyan from the dark fragrance bar. They dared to chop zombies with kitchen knives. At that time, they were just cleaning up. Now they still have hope of becoming stronger. Now they can't wait to follow Lin Yu back. Who wants to be weak when he can become stronger? Hangda immediately kills zombies like chopping vegetables. In this doomsday, where can they not go? What's so scary? Roar. Roar. Boom. The roar of zombies was mixed with the muffled sound of hitting the glass. The huge research room seemed very empty. Yang Yiping was wearing a white coat and looked calmly at the locked-up training room in front of him. The zombie on the left kept roaring and banged against the glass of the training room crazily. There was a skylight above the ceiling, allowing sunlight to shine in. On the contrary, the training room on the right was sealed tightly, and there was also a zombie inside. But unlike the crazy zombies on the left, the zombies in the training room on the right looked very sluggish, with their muscles shriveled, as if they were malnourished. Seeing the completely different conditions in the two training rooms, Yang Yiping clapped his hands. Soon, two men came over with a woman escorted by them. Put her into the training room on the right. A flash of fear flashed in the eyes of the two men, and then they escorted the woman to the training room on the right. The woman who was controlled looked frightened, shook her head wildly, struggled, and kept shouting in her eyes. But how can a woman earn it? Under the control of two grown men, without Yang Yiping saying anything, the woman was stuffed into the training room on the right, and then immediately closed the door of the training room. After doing all this, the two men backed away in fear, as if they were afraid of leaving late. The woman would be eaten by the zombies inside. The woman lay on the glass in fear and kept banging on it. Through the glass, you could see the woman's fearful expression, with tears streaming down her face. She was so embarrassed, but for all this, Yang Yiping's eyes were calm, as if there was no mercy or intolerance. Suddenly a piece of food was stuffed into the training room. The sluggish zombie quickly moved and threw the woman to the ground. A sharp scream accompanied by blood splattered out. Soon, the woman was bitten to death in the incubation room, her body was gnawed into pits, and the zombies that had had a full meal returned to their sluggish appearance. Not long after, the woman also turned into a zombie. Looking at this scene, Yang Yiping frowned slightly. He frowned, looked at the zombies who were still sluggish and unchanged, and said, "Go and open the skylight of the cultivation room on the right." The two men nodded and walked out. Soon, the skylight of the training room on the right was opened, and the sun shone in. What happened next made Yang Yiping's eyes change greatly. Seeing the sluggish zombies quickly regaining their energy, then he ran under the skylight and stood motionless in the sun. Picking up the notebook next to him, Yang Yiping approached the breeding room and carefully looked at the zombies in the sun. Then he was shocked. The zombies with shriveled skin turned out to be in the sun under the irradiation of the sun. The shriveled skin filled up at a slow speed. This phenomenon simply subverted Yang Yiping's worldview. He carefully observed the situation of the zombies in the training room. This station lasted 4 hours. For a long time, Yang Yiping's figure swayed for a while, came back to his senses, his eyes filled with incredible light. In the training room, the zombies that were originally with shriveled skin and sluggish condition have changed drastically. They're almost the same as the zombies on the left. Their skin is no longer shriveled. If you ignore the identity of the zombies, the plumpness of the skin made him doubt that this was a normal human. Roar. Bang. The zombies who returned to normal were very irritable, staring at Yang Yiping outside the glass door with gray-white eyes, roaring and rushing up, and then hit him hard, on the glass door. Not paying attention to the violent zombies in front of him, Yang Yiping lowered his head and kept recording in his notebook. In the 104th test, the zombie life form was suspected to be a plant and could carry out photosynthesis to maintain normal biological operations. After 4 hours, the zombie returned to normal from a shriveled state in the sun. Writing this, Yang Yiping glanced at the female zombie in the training room and continued to write. Human beings are not necessary for zombie activities. Human flesh and blood cannot provide zombies with the energy required for action. Note. Experiment to be determined. In addition to what I just wrote, there are many other things written in the notebook. In the 88th test, zombies have an extremely sensitive sense of smell and can smell the smell of living people within 3 kilometers. This test has been confirmed 23 times. In the 95th test, zombies have no desire to attack wild beasts and poultry. This test has been repeatedly confirmed 151 times, including more than 100 animals such as dogs, cats, and chickens.
In the 90th test, the zombies' eyes have the ability to sense heat. Even with their eyes covered and their noses blocked, they can still accurately identify the direction of humans. This test has been repeatedly confirmed 10 times.
In the 99th test, zombies have no hard requirements for human life forms. Regardless of the disability, the sick, adults, children, the elderly, or pregnant women, they all have a high-intensity desire to attack. This test has been repeatedly confirmed 56 times. After finishing writing, Yang Yiping closed the folder, took a few steps back, and looked to the side. These 2 petri dishes were not the only ones in the huge research room. As Yang Yiping looked over, dozens of petri dishes appeared in one shot. In front of him, there are zombies in these without exception. It seems that every 2 is a pair. The situation in the training room is similar to that here. One zombie is complete and the other is shriveled. Yang Yiping turned around and walked to the next to the 2 pairs of petri dishes. He waved behind him, "Bring another person up and throw him into the culture room on the right." The 2 men from before walked up awkwardly and said fearfully, "Professor Yang, there are no spare experimental subjects now." Yang Yiping frowned and turned to look at the 2 men. There was no emotion or anger on his face, but this depressing atmosphere made the 2 grown men unable to stop sweating on their foreheads. "Go and call Lu Jikan." The 2 men quickly retreated as if they had received an amnesty. Not long after, a fat figure walked in. "Professor Yang, are you looking for me?" Looking at Yang Yiping in front of him, Lu Jikan had a headache. Facing a scientific madman, especially a scientific madman with a background, he really had a headache. Ever since Yang Yiping was escorted to him half a month ago, it was as if a disaster had struck Bian. All the women were used for experiments by this madman, and some of the captured survivors were not spared. As a result, his subordinates have been complaining that there are no women to play with. But what can he do? Does he dare to refuse? This big boss was escorted here by helicopter, and they were forced to change their base and come to this place with complete facilities just to conduct experiments for this doctor. Although the advantage was that he got a lot of weapons and equipment from the army, but he didn't feel comfortable at all. After glancing at Lu Jikan, Yang Yiping nodded with a cold face. "The test items are gone. You go grab a batch and bring them back. I need them urgently." After saying that, Yang Yiping ignored Lu Jikan and went to the front of the training room with all his attention. He carefully observed the movements of the zombies. It seemed that these zombies were more interesting to him. Yang Yiping's arrogant attitude made Lu Jikan feel very sad, angry, but he had nothing to do. Unless he wanted to die, he had to be obedient. Before the end of the world, he had been polished to be very smooth, and this anger quickly dissipated. Walking out of the laboratory, a few of the younger brothers came up one after another and asked tentatively, "Boss, what's going on?" Lu Jikan was already a little fat, but he became even fatter after the apocalypse. With a wave of his fat hand, Lu Jikan shouted, "Call the brothers, bring your weapons and equipment, let's go and take down those girls in the dark fragrance bar. After raising it for so long, it's time to kill it." Hearing Lu Jikan's words, the eyes of the younger brothers lit up. They have been thinking about those women in Anxiang Bar for a long time. Boss, I watched Shuyan last week. After she is cleared, she will definitely let me play. That Jasmine is pretty good too, and that leather jacket, tisk tisk. Pa. The boy on the far right slapped the 2 of them with his backhand and shouted, "Are Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine also the ones you can care about? That kind of beauty can only be enjoyed by the boss, right?" The 2 younger brothers who were beaten were still glaring angrily. After hearing this, they understood instantly. They all laughed together and looked at Lu Jikan flatteringly. Lu Jikan glanced at the 3 of them and coldly snorted, "You guys know each other, but if the boss eats meat, he will definitely give you some soup. When the boss gets tired of playing, he will reward you." "Thank you, boss, thank you, boss." The 3 younger brothers were overjoyed and quickly smiled and thanked. "Okay. Stop talking nonsense, go call the brothers." The boys nodded and ran away. Not long after, the door to the Hidden Research Institute opened. Lu Jikan took hundreds of brothers with guns in hand and walked through the streets and alleys, heading straight to the dark fragrance bar. The area had been cleaned up by them a long time ago, and the zombies are isolated with steel mesh, so the area around the research institute is absolutely safe. Hundreds of people are all well equipped, including body armor, military boots, rifles, microchargers, and even one carrying a personal rocket launcher, which is so luxurious it's amazing. Just when Lu Jikan and others rushed to the dark fragrance bar, Lin Yuyu was in Li Fengjiao and others were waving the high-end wine. The style of the dark fragrance bar was very high, especially Zhou Shuyan's wine cellar, which contained many high-end red wines. She was leaving here anyway, so Zhou Shuyan contributed all of them. Zhou Shuyan had no other purpose, she just wanted to leave a good impression on Lin Yuyu, so that it would be much easier to climb up in the future. The women didn't have many things to take, so they all came down quickly. The high-end red wine in the wine cellar was also moved away. After everything was packed, the large army retreated towards the hospital under the command of Lin Yuyu. Because they were pushed across when they came here, the zombies were basically killed. When we went back, there were occasionally zombies coming from other streets, but they were definitely not many. Not long after Lin Yuyu and his party left, hundreds of well-equipped soldiers rushed out from another street and went straight to the dark fragrance bar. Lu Jikan rushed at the front with a gloomy face. He realized that something was wrong from far away. The door of the dark fragrance bar is open, and there is no one around. The infrared imager is empty. Oh my god, there is no one in the entire dark fragrance bar. How could Lu Jikan look good in this situation? Lu Jikan is tall and fat and can't run fast. The younger brother who can run faster rushed into the bar and ran out not long after. Boss, there is no one in the dark fragrance bar. There are people rummaging through the cabinets inside, as if it had been robbed by other forces. After listening to his younger brother's report, Lu Jikan gritted his teeth angrily, looked at Zhenlong Hotel with angry eyes, and cursed. You damn Wang Kui. What a great job. Come on. Give me a fucking fuck. Wang Kui from the Zhenlong Hotel, the drunken Lu Jinbao, the Zhao brothers from the north, and Lu Jikan himself formed a quartet of forces that firmly trapped the dark fragrance bar. In the middle, Lu Jikan originally felt that he was sure of it. He felt that these women in the Anxiang bar were the meat in his bowl and he could take them at any time. As a result, the meat is flying now. Lu Jikan was so angry that he exploded on the spot. Among the four major forces, he was the most well-equipped, with body armor, individual rocket launchers and everything in between. He thought he was the one with the best equipment, but what happened? The meat in his bowl was cut off in the blink of an eye. Can Lu Jikan not be angry? As for why Wang Kui is suspected, it's because Wang Kui's Zhenlong Hotel is the closest. Lu Jikan's eyes turned red when he thought that the two women he had booked a long time ago might have been played with by Wang Kui many times. Not to mention whether I will reward my little brother in the future, he hasn't played with it yet. Horses. Give me a blast. Kill that piece of shit Wang Kui. Dare you steal what I ordered, tired of living. Lu Jikan was about to explode. If he couldn't offend Yang Yiping, he couldn't offend Wang Kui? Hearing Lu Jikan's explosive roar, the boy carrying the individual rocket launcher quickly ran up and loaded the individual rocket launcher skillfully, tilted his head and looked at the auxiliary aiming area next to him, and quickly pulled the trigger with his finger. Bang! The sound of the individual rocket launcher was very muffled and not loud. As the trigger was pulled, the rocket in front erupted in a burst of white smoke. It shot out, and the flaming rocket instantly hit a window on the 18th floor. Then the window exploded, and the rocket exploded on the 18th floor. A terrifying roar mixed with fire quickly spewed out. Continue. Do not stop. Blow up that piece of shit Wang Kui. Give them all to me. Rush in and kill Wang Kui for me. Looking at the fire coming from the 18th floor, Lu Jikan was still upset and ordered his subordinates around him. Lu Jikan is very smart. There is no one in the dark fragrance bar. That doesn't matter. If Wang Kui is killed, won't there be experimental subjects? Arrive. At that time, women could save the time to play for a while. That Yang Yiping is so useless. He kills more than 10 living people a day. How many people can't help him experiment like this? Under the command of Lu Jikan, a group of subordinates rushed out. The younger brother carrying the individual rocket launcher next to him continued to reload and started the second round of bombing. 1 kilometer away, Lin Yuyu paused. Not only her, but hundreds of women present stopped and looked behind them. Zhenlong Hotel. She frowned and looked at the fire that exploded on the 18th floor. Maybe others couldn't see what was going on, but Lin Yuyu's eyesight was so sharp. She didn't see the first individual anti-tank rocket, but the second one was so obviously, how could she not see clearly? After stopping for a moment and listening to the discussions among the women next to her, Lin Yuyu's expression remained unchanged. Don't worry about it, go back to the hospital first. After hearing Lin Yuyu's order, the women had no objections. As they walked on the road, Lin Yuyu thought in her mind that individual rockets are not something ordinary people can have. Even the police station does not have such a weapon of mass destruction. The Empire will not equip the police with such weapons, not even the special police. Even the American Empire, which advocates freedom, will not equip the police with such weapons. Only the military has such weapons of mass destruction in the country. Could it be that the army has entered the city? This idea was rejected by Lin Yuyu as soon as it came up. The army's entry into the city will definitely not be a small movement, and it will definitely not specifically attack a mere hotel. It seems that the water in Magic City is deeper than imagined. With such a clear understanding in her heart, Lin Yuyu didn't pay too much attention to it. Individual anti-tank rockets were indeed very powerful, but what did it have to do with her? She was not afraid of this thing. Even if a rocket was fired at her, it can also make the rocket go back and forth. It is not her who should worry, but the person carrying the rocket. After casually glancing at Zhou Shuyan, Lin Yuyu felt that she could ask this woman about this matter. Maybe you might know something. How loud was the explosion of the individual rocket? It was so loud that Lin Fan, who was shopping in the mall, heard it 7 or 8 kilometers away. Of course, it was not only the explosion of the rocket that was loud, but also the sound of Lin Fan. The 5 senses are related to sharpness. The figure flashed and appeared in midair, looking in the direction of Zhenlong Hotel. Looking at the exploding flames, Lin Fan subconsciously scratched his chin, but forgot that he was still holding a small T-string in his hand. It's cute, but it doesn't feel right. Lin Fan lowered his head and saw that the lace and hollow design that caught his eye almost raised Lin Fan's blood pressure. He quickly put the cutie in his personal space. After thinking about it, Lin Fan decided not to join in the fun. His main task now was he just emptied the shopping mall. He ran back and forth dozens of times that day. As for the group of thugs who died at home, Lin Fan also saw it. He didn't expect that someone would beat him up just because he came out and was so good at kung fu. We arrived at the door of the house. As for the result, of course it was a very rhythmic attack, and Lin Fan didn't care. Anyway, with Lin Yuyu taking care of it, he just continued to empty the things in the building. As he moved the things, he watched the points and experience increase. This feeling is simply too good. I haven't done anything. Plant powers and earth powers have reached level 4 inexplicably. Who can I ask to explain this? It won't be long before I reach level 5. This speed is really impressive. As for the cost of one pass, there are only more than 1,000 points left, which has inexplicably increased to 5,149. Sure enough, the ancients have not deceived me about the principle of strength in numbers. With more than 100 people in Lin Yuyu and the others, this speed is simply incredible. Too fast. In 2 or 3 days at most, the points will increase back to 2W. Returning to Dahua Commercial Building, he stuffed a bunch of things into his personal space again, and then the personal space was full. Lin Fan was a little helpless. You said is the 5*5*5 space small? In fact, it's not, but it can't hold up to the size of the Dahua Commercial Building. Lin Fan felt a little uncomfortable running back and forth. Can't the system and personal space be upgraded with points? How many points do you need to advance to the next level? Lin Fan is a proper salted fish. If he can move less, he is naturally too lazy to move. For example, at night, Lin Yuyu often moves, unless he has no strength. With Lin Yuyu taking such caring care of him, there are people to serve him when eating and dressing. Lin Fan became more and more lazy. As a master, 10 W points are required to upgrade to the next level.
Lin Fan. His eyes were dull for a moment. Lin Fan silently glanced at more than 5,000 points, and said angrily, "Why don't you go and grab it?"
Good guy, 100,000 points? Those are all high-level abilities, okay? Even if he hasn't spent a single point and doesn't even have 50,000 points, why are you talking to him about 10,000 points? Are you kidding me?
Knowing that there was no hope of upgrading, Lin Fan had no choice but to fly back to the hospital.
In midair, Lin Fan saw a group of women approaching from the north. Lin Yuyu's figure was so conspicuous in the crowd. He looked up at the sun, and it was already afternoon before he knew it. It was estimated to be about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. To be honest, he was too lazy to continue moving. There were so many maids in the house anyway, so he might as well let them move. It was not good for him to kill zombies at this time. Speaking of which, it was time to clean up all the zombies around the hospital, and then erect a barbed wire fence to prevent zombies from flooding in again. At least there should be a safe zone within 10 kilometers of the hospital. Zhongli murmured, and Lin Fan scratched his head. In fact, he had planned to do this before, but he was delayed by other things later. It was a bit annoying for zombies to keep running towards the hospital like this.
Bring him. After thinking about it, Lin Fan landed on the ground. Several maids saw Lin Fan and quickly knelt on the ground to say hello.
May I have your name? Forget it, it's not important. Send me an order to have 100 maids gather here. I'll have something to tell you later. One of the maids nodded and stood up to convey Lin Fan's order. The other 2 maids knelt on the ground and waited for Lin Fan's next order. Ignoring the maid, Lin Fan ducked to the emergency building and handed over the patient. All the things in the space were poured out. He had piled things in the room in the emergency building for dozens of years. There were many maids here who specially arranged some luxury goods. When he saw Lin Fan coming, he hurriedly knelt down. He saluted. After leaving everything behind, Lin Fan hurried out of the emergency building. Just at the entrance of the hospital, Lin Yuyu also walked in with hundreds of women. After giving up and going to the maid, Lin Fan walked towards the entrance of the hospital. As if shrinking to an inch, taking a step, the figure is already dozens of meters away. This is not that the speed is too fast, but shrinking to an inch in the true sense. The earth element power is attached to the feet. It is not Lin Fan who is walking. Instead, the ground under his feet shortened the distance. He took one step and his figure was dozens of meters away in an instant. He hugged Lin Yuyu face to face, and Lin Fan lowered his head and kissed her. Lin Yuyu's face turned slightly pale, and she patted Lin Fan's shoulder and said, "No, I just killed the zombies and I smell. I don't care, it's delicious." Lin Yuyu had no idea. She really had no idea. She was a little short of breath after being kissed before she left. Lin Fan chuckled, pulled Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki over, and kissed each of them under the smiling eyes of the 2 women. "You are improving very quickly and you are doing well." Putting his arms around Lin Yuyu's slender waist, Lin Fan did not hesitate to praise him. The 2 women were really fast at killing zombies, and their power experience increased rapidly. It is estimated that if there were no zombies, they would be promoted to LV5 today. LV5 in the past, superpowers were relatively fast to advance, but after that, it became difficult. Thousands of experience points were required at every turn, which was really scary. Not to mention the magnetic field control at level 7. To level up, you only need 100,000 experience points. That's 100,000 zombies. Dare you imagine how many zombies were killed at level 8? Zhao Yanyan was so grateful that she was kissed by Lin Fan. If it weren't for Lin Fan, she would really be an ordinary woman now, right? Committed to Lin Fan, as a maid, there is no complaint at all, not to mention that Lin Fan is very good to her now. Whether it is nightlife or other aspects, Zhao Yanyan is extremely satisfied. Lord, if you hadn't given Yanyan the power of plants, how could Yanyan be so powerful? Yanyan is really grateful to you. Siki too. Li Siki jumped up and down like a little rabbit, and her twin ponytails also jumped up and down. Lin Fan thought about the reins. Looking away, Lin Fan looked behind the 3 women. At the front are the veteran female warriors like Li Fengzhao, followed by the new batch of female warriors like Wang Ziwen and Lu Yuer, and finally the women who were brought back this time. Did you gain a lot from this trip? There are at least 600 people here, right? Are you raiding a large survivor gathering place with thousands of people? Lin Fan's tone was full of surprise. The main reason was that there were too many women brought back this time. 600 is a conservative estimate. If this is added to the number of people in the hospital, wouldn't the number of people suddenly exceed 1,000? This population, the base number, has almost doubled. Lin Fan's surprise was undoubtedly an affirmation of this harvest. Lin Yuyu smiled sweetly, her beautiful eyes were like water. This time we were lucky. When we passed by, we happened to catch up with the 2 parties fighting each other, and I took advantage of the situation and brought them all back. Lin Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry after hearing this. Is this okay? Why is he not so lucky to encounter two people fighting each other? You brought the people back, so you can make some arrangements. I still have something to do here. I will take away 100 of the maids. In addition, I will also take away Yan Yan and the others. You can be busy at home. Pinching Lin Yu's delicate nose, Lin Fan let her go with a smile. Lin Yu hummed and was sensible enough not to ask. Lin Fan took Zhao Yanyan's tender white hand and said, "You are here with your people. Wait for me, take a rest and I'll take you out later." Zhao Yanyan blinked her beautiful eyes, stood on tiptoes and leaned close to Lin Fan for a kiss. I see. Li Siki smiled and came up to kiss the other side. With the encouragement of the two sisters, Lin Fan turned around and left. In the crowd, Wang Ziwen, Lu Yuer and others saw Lin Fan leaving, and their bodies that had been standing straight they were instantly discouraged. Just now, they were standing straight with their backs, showing off their most perfect figures. However, Lin Fan just glanced at them casually and then left. This made the women who worked extra hard very frustrated. In the crowd, Zhou Shuyan and Jasmine saw Lin Fan for the first time. They looked at Lin Fan briefly, didn't even say a word, and left very calmly. This made them feel unreal. Maybe it was just like what Li Fengjiao said. In that case, they wouldn't even get a turn in the queue. If they have such high standards, how could they have time to force them?
You know, but it really happened, and the gap is still huge.
Lin Fan left. Lin Yu's face, his smile faded. He pointed at Zhou Shuyan and others, and said, "Follow me." In the orchard, hundreds of maids stood here neatly, waiting for Lin Fan's arrival. These maids have been waiting for a while, but Lin Fan has not come over yet. These maids did not dare to be impatient at all. Lin Fan is the high-ranking king here, so they should wait. Lin Fan did not let these maids wait any longer. His figure flashed in the distance and came to the front of these maids in the next second. The sharp-eyed maids saw Lin Fan coming, and quickly knelt down on the ground. "Greetings, Your Majesty." At the beginning, the maids were a little bit unable to accept this kind of kneeling ceremony, but as time went by, they got used to it. Looking at the women kneeling on the floor, Lin Fan felt that this kind of kneeling ceremony was not very good. But the feeling of surrender and vanity were greatly satisfied. Over time, Lin Fan no longer cared. "Get up, everyone, thank you Lord for your gift." The maids stood up one after another, lowering their heads and not daring to look directly at Lin Fan. The maids are not allowed to look directly at their master. This is disrespectful. You all must be wondering why I asked you to come here. Your task today is very simple, that is, move things. Now follow me. After talking about the maids' tasks, Lin Fan turned around and walked towards the gate. The maids followed step by step, curious in their hearts while Lin Fan wanted them to move. At the entrance of the hospital, Lin Yu took Zhou Shuyan and others left, leaving only Zhao Yanyan, Li Siki and more than 100 female soldiers. The 10 female soldiers who had been staying in the hospital also rushed over. Looking at their companions who had improved in strength, they all looked envious. The women were very quiet. Although they were all guessing who Lin Fan asked them to stay, no one dared to speak casually. Not long after, Lin Fan rushed over with 100 maids and looked at the people who were following him. Among the hundreds of maids, Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. Soon, Lin Fan stopped, looked at the confused eyes of the girls, smiled and said, "I know you are here, what are you wondering?" Next, everyone divided into 2 teams to clean up as many zombies as there were on the east and west sides. The maximum distance was 10 kilometers. Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki served as captains and came back before dark. Have questions? No. The female warriors shook their heads. What doubts could there be? Killing zombies is great, not to mention how happy they were to kill today. Then take action and stay safe. Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki separated into teams. Taking advantage of this moment, Lin Fan turned around, looked at the maids behind him, and said, "Your task is to move all the things in the Dahua commercial building back to me. All zombies near the hospital must be thoroughly cleaned up to ensure your personal safety. Do you understand?" The maids nodded one after another and responded, "Master, we understand." At this time, Zhao Yanyan and Li Siki had divided their teams. Each of them rushed out of the hospital with more than 70 people, and quickly left towards the east and west sides. You go too. With a wave of his hand, Lin Fan flew into the air, with lightning intertwining behind him, and soon arrived at the rooftop of the Dahua commercial building. The magnetic field induction spread. In order to ensure the personal safety of the maids, Lin Fan still had to move the surroundings within a few kilometers. All the zombies must be eliminated to ensure that nothing goes wrong. You can't call the maids out and end up being infected by the zombies, right? Maid is also a human being, and is the basis for maintaining power. The eyes slowly closed, and all the people within a radius of 5 kilometers were in the dark. The zombie Lin Fan has been locked. Electric currents are intertwined in his eyes, and dense electric light appears all over his body. Under the control of the magnetic field, a large amount of iron elements are taken out from the ground, and then condensed into black projectiles. The thunder and lightning are stirring, and the iron elements are condensed. The projectiles were shrouded in electric light and turned into thunderbolts. Lin Fan stretched his hands to both sides, his eyes suddenly opened, and brilliant lightning burst out at this moment. Precision guidance. Thousands of thunders roar. The low roar carried vast majesty, and the terrifying lightning arc turned into a ring and spread out. Under the guidance of the magnetic field, thousands of thunder beads shot out in all directions as if they had eyes. Blue, the fireworks are like meteors from the sky, and they explode like a goddess scattering flowers. Thousands of meteors scatter in all directions, like billions of stars intertwining in the sky. This is a visual feast, indescribably gorgeous and beautiful. Shoo 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 shoo. Zilla, zilla. The sonic boom was dense, mixed with the sound of thunder and lightning, raging in the air. Blue arcs of light cut through the sky, and accurately penetrated into the heads of zombies. Puff 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 puff. The thunder light exploded, and the thunder beads smashed the zombies' heads into pieces. The headless corpses didn't know what happened, and they walked aimlessly for a few steps and fell to the ground. At this time, the ear-piercing sonic boom sound came belatedly. With the Dahua commercial building as the center, within a radius of 5 kilometers, a large number of thunder beads turned into the most brilliant lightning. Whether it was the zombies on the street, in the room, or in the building, at this moment, all their heads were covered by the thunder beads. Detonate it and turn it into a corpse that no longer poses any threat. With one blow, it sweeps away all the zombies within a radius of 5 kilometers and completely wipes out all the zombies. All zombies turn into corpses. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 214 1/1000ths. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 422 1/1000ths. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 895 1/1000ths. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 1000 1000. Ding! Congratulations, Lord, your lightning control ability has advanced. Your current level is LV6. To advance to the next level, you need 0.10,000 experience points. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 114 10,000ths. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 789 10,000ths. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 8,971 10,000ths. Ding! Killing zombies +1, points +1, lightning control ability experience +1. Current experience is 10,000 10,000ths. Ding! Congratulations, sir, your lightning control ability has advanced. Your current level is LV7. Promoting to the next level requires 0.10 W of experience points. A large number of notification sounds bombarded Lin Fan's mind like a barrage of cannons. Before he could even see what the last one was, an unknown number of notifications popped up in the next second. The terrifying thunder light was raging on the roof of the Dahua commercial building. Thunder snakes as thick as buckets shuttled back and forth. The lightning control ability was upgraded to 2 levels in a row. Thunder energy like Wongyang surged and roared in the meridians. The heart beat violently, the blood was drawn out crazily, and then compressed at a high concentration, metabolism accelerating. A large amount of waste blood is evaporated out of thin air, and is later replaced by fresh blood that is healthier and more energetic. Cells undergo large-scale necrosis, and the new cells are more active and can hold more energy. Blue-purple thunder and lightning are in the bones flashed, the muscles were forged, and a huge change that could be called a cleansing of the essence and marrow appeared on Lin Fan. At this time, Lin Fan no longer had time to listen to the system prompts in his mind. Becoming stronger. With the increase of thunder and lightning powers as he advanced, he felt that his body was rapidly becoming stronger, and the power in his body was highly expanded. The soaring power made Lin Fan feel like he could break the void with one punch. Boom. Click. Intense lightning flashes on the roof of the Dahua commercial building. It exploded with a bang, and the entire roof turned into a void thunder pool. Thunder and lightning as thick as a bucket burst out like thunder snakes. The raging thunder light traveled quickly in midair like thunder dragons raging. The void turned into a sea of thunder, and the clear sky in an instant. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and the sky darkened. With the Dahua commercial building as the center, the terrifying dark clouds quickly rolled into the distance like ink, spreading nearly 10 kilometers in an instant. The clouds were rolling like a punishment from heaven, and the heavy lead clouds seemed to be crushing the void. Countless people and zombies were looking up at the sky at this moment. The vast power of heaven made everyone fearful, even the zombies without wisdom. In front of this terrifying vision of heaven and earth, everyone lowered their heads in fear. Thunderbolt. Thunder roared, thunder and light thundering about 10 feet thick in the heavy lead clouds. Thunder and lightning exploded, electric light lashed the clouds, and the dense thunder and lightning seemed to be as big as the Great Wall. The sea of thunder on the top floor of the commercial building echoed, and the thunder snakes rushed up to the sky and met the thunder dragons in the sky. Boom! The sky and the earth turned pale. The terrifying thunder suddenly fell from the sky at this moment. The heaven and the earth lost their sound, and everything lost their color. The brilliant blue electric light blinded everyone's eyes, and all the eyes looking at this place turned into a vast white at this moment. At this moment, the sun's light was eclipsed.